Hello there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm joined with the lovely Rockin, Coach, Amy, and today we'll be talking about the honest truth about the carnivore diet, where people often go wrong, and hopefully give you guys some useful insights. If you do have any questions for us throughout this chat, please just leave a queue and we'll be happy to answer them to the best of our ability. Anyway, how are you doing, Amy? What's going on?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me to collaborate with you today. I have been very excited all week about this. I appreciate the opportunity.
I'm glad you're here. So I guess the topic today is just talking about, it's the honest truth, isn't it? So what we found from doing the carnivore diet, where we've come from, our approach, perhaps we could outline any sort of useful tips that people could use. So I don't know, where would you say your diet's been and gone so far?
It's been great. As you probably already know, if you've listened to any of my story, I was strict keto successfully for 8 years. Okay. And that worked fabulous for me, as it does some people, but then it worked until it didn't work. Right. Last year, about June, I just started having this extreme fatigue, even on a strict ketogenic diet, and I couldn't explain it. And, so then I'm like, okay, what's the next step? Well, the next progression is to go carnivore. And, I had been listening to like Dr. Berry, Dr. Baker, all the carnivore doctors for 8 years. And my mentality was, I just don't need to go carnivore because keto's working for me, until it didn't anymore. And come to find out, I'm 50 years old. I'm starting to struggle with menopause symptoms. For whatever reason, my thyroid started to act up. And so I think that's what was causing these additional symptoms that keto would no longer, would reverse. So ever since, I'm 9 months carnivore now, pretty strict. Sometimes I eat cheese. That's a little bit of a downfall for me, but that's still carnivore. And my fatigue is better. My energy levels are better. My thyroid has gone back down into range, so it is working. So for those of you out there who want to try carnivore that aren't yet, it is fixing. The only thing I'm experiencing that I'm not pleased with, and if you have any insights with this, I've gained a little bit of weight back. So I've gained about 25, and not muscle, not like Jonathan, not muscle. It is a little bit of belly fat, but I'm not real concerned about it. I think you have to stay on carnivore. You have to give it a chance. And then you might have to tweak macros a little bit. And I believe that will adjust down as I can reduce my stress and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to my carnivore journey and people that I've known that have done it. It's never been straightforward. It's never been, this is what most people after a year do. This protein, this fat, these foods. It seems to be a bit all over the shop. And what people I think forget is that what your bodies go through now might be different to what it's going through later on. So your diet might reflect that as well. So often, this is one thing I contend a lot online is people say high fat carnivore diet worked for me. I lost weight. Well, I think you probably did lose some weight, but what weight is that, And if you're trying to chase macros and ratios, percentages, and thinking, well, I know I've got to eat 1,500 calories per day, and I've got to eat 80-20. You actually you sort of work that out. You think, okay, so 20% of your calories out of 1,500 calories. So you're looking at 300 calories from protein divided by 4 calories per gram of protein. That's 75 grams of protein. 75 grams of protein, guys, is about half of what I recommend the average person, just at all, anyone. So if you look at it that way, your body's probably not going to maintain the muscle mass that you've built up either before or you're trying to build up after. So you may be, losing excess body fat, adipose tissue, but you're probably also losing some muscle as well. I'm not saying, you cut your fat in half or cut your protein in half and double your fat, that you're going to lose all of it. But over the course of a year, imagine you're using that many situations or scenarios or times throughout the day where you can increase muscle protein synthesis, and you cut that in half. You don't know where you're going, sort of thing. So you might put some health issues into remission, but you might also put some issues further forward, especially if you're overdoing it. So that's kind of my standpoint on how things change.
So I am just getting into coaching. You've been doing this a lot longer than me, but what they taught us is, I think optimal is you take your weight in kilograms, which is not intuitive for me because that's not American, but you
Divided
take your
by
weight.
2.2.
Yeah, you take your weight in kilograms and then you multiply that by 2.6 for optimal protein. Then you take your weight, you take that, and then you divide it, and then you get your, you get it into, you get it into grams, and then you take your protein calculation and then you do a 1-to-1 ratio. And to me, this is a starting point. You do 1-to-1 ratio from protein to fat, 1-to-1. Then I believe, and this is just my belief, that you need to either tweak that up or tweak the fat down a little bit. So, and I don't mean cut your fat way down. I believe in a high fat carnivore diet, right? But for some people like myself, you may need to reduce the fat a little bit by I believe in tracking temporarily. In general, most people don't have to track what they're eating on carnivore unless you're not getting the results that you're wanting. And the reason I believe that is maybe you have some carb creep in there, or maybe you have something that's in your daily lifestyle that maybe needs to be taken a look at, dairy. And then if all of those things are eliminated and you're still gaining weight or you're not losing weight, you may need to tweak the fat down. And I'm just talking 3%, 5% of the fat. Just tweak it down, tweak that dial down just a little bit. And then the scale might start to slide down a little bit. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good approach?
That's probably the best approach, in my opinion. And I'm often contested with the idea that long-term carnivores put us across. Not everyone, but a lot of people, it's like, well, if you eat meat to satiety and do this and get up in the morning and look at the sun, it doesn't fix all your problems, guys. So I think just having a general guideline to say, like yourself, Amy, like an average daily, so an average height, for example, average daily output, this is what the sort of guideline might say. But in a lot of cases, people that come to this sort of way of eating, they're not always physically active. They might be a bit older, they might have arthritis, they might not be able to exercise, so their start point might be completely different. And what gets them to end point may be completely different as well. We know just through modern society, we completely underestimate how much food we eat by typically up to about 40% per day. So it goes to show, if you're trying to eyeball things, but your eyeball's already by default 40% off, you got a problem there, guys. So imagine it's literally, Amy, like trying to achieve a goal and saying, I'm going to put half of my effort into it, but it's going to require 100%. Why would you do that? What's the benefit in not spending 2 minutes just to calculate a number or a rough guideline? At least it means when you do start initially, you're going from a basic generic average population, then you can't go too far wrong. Now, if obviously you're coming to this and you're already an athlete, you're already heavily muscled, you've got a high output level, you're a postman, you're a bricklayer, your output's going to be a bit higher. So you might actually need a bit more protein and a bit more fat. But largely speaking, the long-term carnivores are eating about the same amount of meat content each day. What will scale up or down is going to be the fat, and that's going to be what largely alters your body composition. Evidence for that claim comes from the fact that if we look at any bodybuilder ever, the best in terms of outcomes in terms of like muscle building over, say, a year might be, let's say, 12 pounds. Now, that's trying really hard, eating all your meals, getting food in time, training, recovering well, sleeping, good genetics, everything like that. Now, imagine that 12 pounds. Now, think how long it would take you eating your heart out to gain 12 pounds. It's not going to be a year. I mean, if you said to me, Jonathan, your goal is to gain 12 pounds, I could do that in about a week or two. Wow. So that tells you the fat intake is what is the biggest lever, because the protein intake was only marginal over the months. If I tried really hard to gain weight, I could gain massive amounts of fat, but there's a limit on the protein, the muscle tissue accrual. So
I love hearing this.
Right.
I love hearing this from
right
you.
to get to that point.
Because so many, like you said, carnivore influencers out there are like, you need more fat, increase the fat. And I'm like, okay. And that some people can do that, right? Some people can eat more fat and they continue to lose weight. But for some of us, for whatever reason, that just doesn't work. So I think, and I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed when I went carnivore, because they're like, just eat carnivore. You can eat copious amounts of whatever you want on the carnivore menu. And they're like, just eat till you're full. Well, for me, there is something broken, and it's still broken. And what I believe is broken is my stress. My stress is way too high, which I think is affecting my leptin and ghrelin signals. Because you all have heard me say, I'm still hungry. I could eat a ribeye, 4 over medium eggs, 6 pieces of bacon, and put a half a stick of butter on that. And in an hour, I'm still hungry, right? That is a crazy amount of food for a meal. And
it's not you being greedy either.
And I tracked it. And in my highest point, and this was part of the PhD class, we were tracking our foods. I got up to, and I hate calories. I'm sure you do too, but this is just a tracking measurement. My calories got up to 6,000 calories. I had 300 grams of fat, and I forget what the protein was, but I was eating all foods that were protein and fat. So it was all carnivore foods. But my fat got up to 300 grams, and I was still hungry. So I think for some people, sunlight, Mannix gaming, Mannix says sunlight. And unfortunately for me, we have had the longest winter in history. We started snowing in October, and it just stopped snowing like a week ago. So for sunlight, could I go out in the snow and stand and look at the sun? I could, but when it's 20 below, I'm not going to do that. It's too cold. I mean, it's really hard to force yourself when you're shivering to go outside and stand in like 0 degree weather or less than 0 degree weather. So that could be part of it too. I'm really curious to see how my journey changes this summer because it's sunny out today. So I'm going to get out today. I'm going to stare at the sun probably after this live. And Dustin says my stress is always through the roof, and this week hasn't helped. Let me tell you. So, but that's something I have to work on, and I have to work on box breathing or breathing exercises. I got to work, and I've already started working on movement. I'm not where Jonathan is, obviously, but no, I don't think many of us are at Jonathan level.
I need to do the other stuff that you guys are doing that I'm not, basically. So grass is always greener, isn't it?
And nobody's perfect. And if any of you are working with a coach or anybody that says they're perfect, you need to find another coach. That's my opinion, because we are all humans and we all have issues. And like Jonathan said, even he has issues. I know you have a lot of stress. You have a lot of health issues, and that all impacts our ability to, reverse some of the conditions that we have and heal, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just touching on the last point you made, I think it's definitely agreeable that having a community, some sort of circle around you, someone who's like-minded, whether it be online through live streams like this. In my instance, I've got my coaching clients, they check in. I know their adherence is pretty damn good because I can see their weights, I can look at their stats, their information. I know if they've eaten way too much this week. I know if they've had a few rough nights sleep. It's all information I can access. So when you're looking at that sort of thing, I always try to position myself as in, well, I'm only going to give them out plans that they can also achieve that I would do myself. But I've got to make sure myself, me, Jonathan, I'm doing what they're doing plus more. So then it means that if I'm the one purveying this ideal standard, or better than optimal or better than average sort of standard, and that's what they're trying to achieve themselves, I've got to match that or exceed it. Because then that's the thing, like the bigger carnivore influencers names, they'll say 99% carnivore plus is best, and it's like, the thing is, if they said 90%, people would then strive for about 80. Because if you say 99%, people are going to go for about 90, so they're only going to lower the bar a little bit. So I think it's a bit dishonest in some instances. I mean, a lot of these guys, girls, whoever, they don't always follow the diet they say they do. It doesn't match what you see in the Instagram stories and reels and shorts. But in the same token, they do have to also represent what is optimal, because they know, well, if this is the standard and these people are bright, healthy, and doing well at life, they've got to set the high standard just so people can try and at least match it. So, yeah.
So so I want to ask you a question, if you're okay with that, because we originally picked the topic of why do we think people fall off the wagon so many times. And I actually talked to someone as a client this week who tried carnivore, did it for 3 months, and then couldn't sustain it. In your opinion, why do you think people try even keto or carnivore and they're not able to sustain it long term? What is your opinion on that?
I think it's obviously multifactorial, but if I'd say the most instance rate for someone falling off the wagon, and at least falling off the wagon frequently, so I'd probably say they still idolize food. They don't see food for what it is. And yes, it, ancestrally speaking, it has been a way of performing like a tribute, like a novelty. It's a tradition. It's a festival. It's a feast festival. I think the problem is we create that novelty out of everything. Breakfast time. Oh, you had a good night's sleep? Yeah. Oh, did you do homework last night? Yeah. Oh, here's a bowl of honey nut oat cereal with chocolate and sprinkles on it. You've had a reward for something which you would inevitably have to do anyway. How is that a reward? So I think it's a lot of the dopamine signaling, the idea that things deserve treats and we do things to get things rather than letting things just be. So I think that's part of the problem, is idolization of food. And the way I sort of design plans with clients is I sort of know what they're like when they first meet when I first speak to them, and I sort of say, what's your adherence like? What do you think you can achieve? And funny enough, the people that are so hard-headed, people are like, I've got 100% adherence, I'm strict, I don't miss meals, I do all this stuff. They're actually the ones that fall off the most, because they when you hear about the cycle of them, the history, the psychology of them, they might be that months past they tried vegetarian diet, vegan diet, months before that. So they'll go at things, they'll try anything, but they don't persist with things. And I think that's the problem, because they don't get the immediate result. So someone can be 100% but fall quickly. So I try to get clients personally to maybe aim for 90% all the time rather than 100% half the time. So I'll actually program in. For example, I know if someone's got a couple of kids, a dog, lots of weddings and events to go to, they're a popular person, they're socially active, I guess. Yeah, I'll put in more treat meals in the diet. I'll say, well, next week do 2 treat meals. They might be looking flat, maybe they overtrained the week before. I'll say, add in an extra bit of food, add in an extra half pound of beef 2 days a week.
Yep.
So I actually program in these things in anticipation for them having these issues. So when they're at the party, they've already had their food for the day. If they want to have a cupcake, they can have a cupcake, but they're not going to want more because they've planned it out,
That's awesome advice. And so I also think that you kind of touched on this, but I think some things to add to that is emotional eating triggers. I know me personally, and I'll use myself as an example. I've always been what you call an emotional eater. I believe it's a real thing. Even now on Carnivore, if I have a stressful event, or if I have a something happen in my life, or a bad work call, right? I have people that get really rude on calls with me during the day, and it makes me mad. And then the first thing is luckily when I have an emotional eating trigger, it's with carnivore food. Like it's with bacon. I'm like, I go to the fridge and I still do this. I eat bacon. So I believe emotional triggers, stress, and then lack of preparation is another one. So I'm a big proponent, and in my coaching, I want to teach people not just what to eat and what to do, but time management. I'm a big time management person, right? You have to take time out of your week to meal prep, especially if you're busy like I am. And meal prep on Carnivore is easy. Sometimes it could just mean chucking a couple frozen hamburgers into an air fryer, or getting a steak out of the freezer and, cooking it from frozen. But for some people who have to, maybe you make a meatloaf on a day, right? A meatloaf, and then you cut it, and then you have meals for 3 days. So, a lot of that. And also I am a coach, not just for Carnivore. I'm a coach for Keto and low carb. So for those people, there's obviously going to be a lot more meal prep for them than there would be for a strict carnivore.
Like double probably.
Yeah. And so the other thing that I see with people a lot is they have family members that they live with that are on this journey with them. And that is a number one issue, because the family members are not eating what they're eating. And so the foods that are in the house are the things that they're they don't have things prepared for them. And then they just go to the ice cream sandwiches, or they go to the bowl of cereal, or they go to the bag of chips. What is your suggestion for these people?
I think people that start a carnivore diet, I think get in this habit of falling off all the time. I'd rather them actually invest a bit more time into bulk cooking food. Now, if you know, for example, you maintain your diet and say 2 pounds of beef a day and 6 eggs, right? Let's make that a kilo of meat a day, 6 eggs. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna put it in the slow cooker. That's your food for the day. You don't need to go back in the fridge. Your food is there. If it's already out, prepared, you might make fried eggs, scramble them, reheat them later. Not optimal. The idea is just to find something you can achieve so you're not going back into the fridge. So what I actually do is I started contest preparation nearly 2 weeks ago. I'm down 3 or 4 kilos already. I'm competing in 8 weeks' time. And what I do for my meals, just to keep it really simple, is I meal prep the day before with what I know I'm going to eat the next day. I put my food in the freezer. I cycle it from the freezer to the fridge to then be eaten just like continuously. So the only food that's out ever really is food that I'm going to eat that day. So I can't really fall off the diet that way, So I've got my own separate fridge freezer in the house. I've got 2 freezers and 2 fridges, which are actually mine. So being prepared in that sense is good. And if I know what I do now is slow cooked beef, so I just do beef brisket, pressure cooked stuff. That'll leave me with 1.5 kilos of meat. I think, okay, I'm going to divide that by 4 meals because I'm going to have 4 meals today. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of butter or whatever it is with each meal. Then I'm there. I've not got anything else to worry about. I think for some people, they will benefit from being more monotonous with foods, just because if they're busy, it removes that food for that extra process of, I need to make this dish. So I know people that I've got some clients, I just say, they prefer, I'm going to have 600 grams of ground beef today and 4 eggs and a tablespoon of butter. They'll do the same thing for weeks and weeks on end, and they don't care. And they sustain it very well. But some people, they just like more variety. But I mean, I'll say I prefer to create diets with more variety than less, as long as it's from an animal food. So personally, I eat about 5 different foods in one day: beef, eggs, butter, whey protein, gelatin powder, stuff like that. Then there'll be other people that will do 2 meals, two foods per day. Depends on the individual. But I think this panic after 1 month of trying these things, not getting the results you want, is over the top. I think a lot can be done just by being prepared ahead of time and being patient with it. And I think a lot of people benefit first off just by eating more than less. So I'm not saying stuff yourself, eat what you want. I'm saying when you're about full, just say, I'll have a bit more, have an extra boiled egg, just so you're not hungry later. So if that is a fear, at least it's fear based on your appetite, your food noise, rather than the actual true hunger. So
that's interesting. You brought up food noise versus true hunger. Okay. Because I don't believe that I have food noise, like noise in the sense that I had before on keto, where all the time I was thinking about food, like I'm hungry. I think mine, since going carnivore, has been real hunger, but I think my hunger is a little skewed right now because I think my leptin and ghrelin is still trying to balance from most likely the thyroid issues that I've experienced, right? I truly believe, and there's probably no medical test to prove this. This is just something that I believe, that my leptin and ghrelin signals, and I believe that if I stay on this for 2 years, that will all get sorted out, right? Like you said, it's not a straight path on carnivore. And I'll be honest with you, I was a little disappointed because they're like, just eat meat, you'll be great, right? Just eat meat. But I think
we wouldn't have these live streams, Amy. If that was true, there wouldn't be people asking the opposite,
Yeah. And I think that eventually, yes, your body heals from a bunch of things and things get sorted out, but it's not overnight. It takes a while, right? It takes a while. And if you're a 50-year-old woman going through menopause and thyroid issues, it may take longer for me than someone like Jonathan, who's fit and buff and, exercises more than anybody I know, works out a lot and doesn't have the hormone issues. I think hormone issues play a lot into it. So if you're like me and you don't get the weight loss results you want in 30 days, don't freak out about it, but don't give up either. Don't give up, because there are so many things that have been fixed for me that I'm not stressing out that my pants are a little tighter. And you've been seeing me, I've been trying to get more movement in, and I've been doing the planks and I've been doing the cycling and the walking, and I do intend to put a little bit of weight training, light weight training into this too, but baby steps, going into that. And Dustin says Dustin is struggling right now because he has a house of 7 people, and him and his wife are the only ones that eat, a ketogenic diet. And some tricks that I've learned. And my son moved home with my grandkids, and they were not eating this. They got a shelf in the pantry that was up high. And some things you can do is they have to put things in boxes or containers. So my suggestion would be to put things out of sight, out of mind. How many of us have cabinets that way back in the cabinet, things are hidden and you don't see? I probably have expired cans and boxes of things that I need to go through that I'm not eating because they're hidden in the freezer. Your kids and your family members can have not see-through containers. They can put their ice cream sandwiches, they can put their containers of ice creams and those in your freezer, in your deep freezer, so that they're hidden from you. And you just know you have to put in your mind that container is not something I'm going to open, right? That way you're not visually seeing it. You're not going to go for it. And I'm sorry, but if I have people living in my house and it's my house, you have to have a conversation with them. If you love me, you will use this shelf. You will put it in a box. It's not going to be seen by me. And these tricks work in most cases. You're not going to just go digging into something you can't see. What are your thoughts on that recommendation?
That's solid advice. If you can get people around to following it, is another thing. But I've got an Easter egg for Easter last week. Joe got me a very lovely white chocolate strawberry pieces Easter egg thing. I won't be able to eat it until November, and I can't really be bothered to reach so far down to get to where it is. So it won't be a problem for me. I can't, it's out of sight, out of mind. I probably could get it, but I really can't be asked the stress. I put it in such a way it's gonna be hard for me to reach anyway. Yeah, that's what I do. I deliberately put things out of the way. In terms of what you said earlier in regards to like leptin sensitivity and ghrelin, things like that, I mean, it does vary a lot between people, and evidence to support that claim would be that people on GLP-1 drugs, for example, some people might use 1 milligram of a certain drug. They're like, oh, I can't eat anything. I'm not thirsty, I'm not hungry, lose loads of weight. You have people who have to use 12.5, 15 milligrams of the same drug, and they have a completely different outcome, and that'll be irrespective of if they're very lean or overweight anyway. So that kind of tells me, GLP-1 level signaling within people's bodies is totally different. And another thing about what you said in regards to morning sunlight. Morning sunlight programs your body to store up a reservoir of melatonin to be secreted at nighttime. Also, when you get sunlight on your body, that affects your gut microbiome, which will then, in turn, after about a 3-week period of a different intervention in terms of your sunlight exposure, will affect your cravings, your appetite levels for things like sugar. So that's why people that are often disabled, indoorsy people, they gain weight because they're recluse, because they don't get the same sunlight exposure. Whereas people that are active by default are getting fresh air, they're getting sunlight on their skin, they're probably sleeping better at night. They're not getting these cortisol surges. The body's more regulated. So it's so multifactorial, and I think the carnivore diet will get most people to about maybe there. All the other stuff is a bit extra, but for everyone it's totally different. For me, carnivore diet is better than not doing any other diet. It didn't drastically change my life in a lot of ways, but it has improved lots of little things subtly, enough to the point where I think I'd actually rather live this way than suffer more with gut distress, severe mental fog. And my story is different though. I mean, I won't go into it in total detail, but my health's regressed over the years, but I think if it wasn't for the carnivore diet, it would be a lot quicker situation. The thing is, if this didn't cure me or fix any of my health issues, what is the alternative? So I think, there's a good, better and best case scenario thing. I think what I'm doing right now is the best case scenario for me. It might not be that best is what everyone would want, but it's certainly better than an alternative, which would probably make me worse. So.
Yeah. So, and the good, better, best thing, imagine how you would feel, or imagine how I would feel if we weren't doing this. you could be totally like not able to move. Me too. Like my joint pain and everything. Do I still have some joint pain? Yes. Right? Yes. But think of how we would be if we weren't doing what we were doing. I mean, I may be not, I already know. So I'm not one of these people who can really cheat. And I'm not lying about this. The reason why is I probably would be a best case lion diet, right? But my bank account can't afford all the beef all the time. So I don't do lion diet. But what happens to me if I accidentally, and I don't intentionally ingest anything, I don't intentionally cheat, but as you know, if you go to somebody's house and they have meat and there's a seasoning with gluten on it that you don't know about, right? Or you go to a restaurant and they snuck something in there in the meat or eggs, or they put a sauce or something on there you try to scrape off, right? That's usually what happens to me. I'm telling you, Jonathan, if there is even a minute amount of gluten in it, I cannot walk up and down my stairs for 2 weeks. It affects, so my mindset to cheat over the years has just become so
put off, deterrent.
Because I don't want to suffer for a month after I took a bite of something. It's not worth it to me. So to me, that's a blessing. There are some people that say, well, I can cheat and I have no ill effects. I think I'd almost rather be like me than like that person, because would I probably fall off the wagon more if there were no ramifications, that were strong enough for me not to cheat. And I don't know how you are, but that's just me. I honestly believe, and someone, Juliet, our friend Juliet.
Yeah.
She goes, you seem like you might be a candidate for mast cell activation syndrome. And I'm like, that could be, I don't know. Just because of my reaction to food is so strong but I'm not going to pursue it because I'm controlling things in such a positive way, just doing what I'm doing. So I don't know what your experience is, if you've ever eaten a little off plan, like.
I'd say I'm stricter than nearly everyone I've ever met. But I wouldn't say I'm here sort of poo-pooing people because they ate a bit of onion in their scrambled egg. In terms of like what I eat day to day, like an average day, is animal foods. I don't do honey, avocado, fruit, berries, veg. I'll do seasonings. Yeah, I'll do Pepsi Max, sugar-free stuff, protein powders with flavoring in it. But like if you talk about the macronutrient composition of my diet, is nearly entirely animal foods, bar like I don't know, 5 to 10 grams of my carbs each day probably comes from seasonings like onion, garlic, salt powder stuff. But in terms of like intentional treat meals, off-plan meals, I guess you could say, maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks in the off season. So that means it'll be a standard meal that an average person would have. So that means a roast dinner, Yorkshire pudding, roast potato, beef, lamb, turkey, I don't know, some carrots, bit of gravy, like just a meal that you'd think, oh, that's a normal sort of British sort of meal,
right? And
that'll be every 3 weeks. And I find if I keep that in intentionally, I don't get as bad of a reaction versus keeping it in very often. So the gut microbiome basically reshifts itself based on what it's done over the past 3 weeks. So I figure if I have that every 3 or 4 weeks, it's about all right. Because I know if I went strict lion diet for a month, then ate, I don't know, had a glass of milk, that'd be it for me. I've got no intolerance to milk. So I think, for me personally, I've reaped all I can sow out of the carnivore diet, and I found out where I've landed. And for me, it's, I should not eat certain things. Some things I should not eat are berries, pork, chocolate. They're the main things, tomatoes. Outside of that, I'm not too bad. But yeah, in terms of what I advocate the same thing. So I'll actually tell my clients often to add in a treat meal just with their family. So when a kid's first birthday comes around, they're not having a slice of cake and in a hospital for like a week.
Right. So for me, a treat meal, so this would be a treat meal. For the holidays, I do all of the cooking and I host my entire family over, right? And for Christmas, I make a Maria Emmerich's protein lasagna which has red sauce in it, but it's basically all meat and cheese. And so yeah, that's a good. We got to read this. Nailed it, Amy. These Brazilian steakhouses are traps for many of us very sensitive with gut issues. They place the cheapest of salts. Yeah. I did eat at Fogo de Chao in San Diego, but in the grand scheme of things, I was eating out every meal when I was in San Diego. So I did come back with some joint pain, probably because I was having seed oils at every meal. And, I was eating carnivore foods, but they weren't cooked. So I did feel not good when I came back from vacation. And unfortunately, that's just a reality when we travel. But back to my cheat meal. My cheat meal at the holiday, I think it was Christmas, I made a keto lasagna, Maria Emmerich's, where the noodles are meat. And it's basically deli meat and cheese and sausage and hamburger. But I made my own red sauce. And there were slices of provolone on it. And I will tell you, I had one piece on Christmas Day. I did not really have a reaction from that. So for me, maybe once in a while at the holidays when I'm making the keto meal for my family members, having a piece of lasagna with homemade red sauce in it with not added sugar is probably not, it's going to be minuscule for me. So that's my cheat meal. My cheat meal, like Dr. Berry says, is eating a keto meal on Carnivore, right? And these are recipes that I prepare myself and that sort of thing. So what are your thoughts on that? Would you advocate for that if it's once or twice or 3 times a year?
Yeah, I think either have it every month or don't have it at all. Yeah. It depends what your goals are. If you're terminally ill with cancer, then probably you want to take life more seriously. If you're someone that you get a bit of joint flare that goes away after 2 days, it's not going to break the bank, I don't think. And most people I know when I consult people, most people I'd say about 80% carnivore, meaning 20% of the diet is probably avocado, fruit, honey, and other stuff. Just because that's what people do. Peanut butter maybe. But they still believe in the carnivore diet principles. But that's just the reality. Because the thing is, when we have people in the live chat even now, I guarantee at least 3/4 of them have had some sort of plant food today. They might not say it, and I don't think badly.
Yeah, and so that brings up a good point. Like I have a client, she doesn't even want to be keto. She's like, can we just start with a whole foods based approach under 100 grams of carbs? I'm like, absolutely. And she's coming from a program, I'm not going to mention which program, where they want you to eat 8 times a day. And so at this point, I'm just trying to teach, every time you put food in your mouth, consider it a meal. Even if it's a piece of bacon, that's a meal. And even meat will spike your glucose. Even meat can spike your glucose, right? Even when I eat meat and eggs, my glucose ranges from 50 low to usually between 90 and 100 is my highest, which I think is very good. But even when I eat a meat meal consistent of eggs and meat with maybe a little bit of butter, my glucose spikes. My glucose spikes because I've tested it. I've done my own N=1. So every time you put food in your mouth, even low carb food, your glucose is going to raise some. And protein can raise your glucose too. Protein can, spike your glucose. So what are your thoughts on that? Is it a meal every time you eat?
I think you should eat a meal every time you eat. I don't believe in I'm hungry at 2 o'clock in the morning, have a slice of bacon. No, I think that's stupid. I think you should always eat with the intention of spiking a hormone in your body, insulin. But if you're getting these small little bumps of hormones being secreted throughout the day, but they don't have that specific amplitude needed, they don't signal certain other cascades of hormones to do a certain job. So theoretically, someone could be, you could do a diet of 100 grams of protein a day in 1 sitting, or 100 grams of protein a day in 10 sittings. During those 10 sittings, the chance of you actually spiking protein synthesis is going to be so limited, because most people probably need 30, 40 grams ish, something like that, to get enough leucine through the protein that they're taking in. But I think the meal frequency or amount of meals per day should be based around the amount of food the person's eating. So, for example, my nan, if she did the carnivore diet, 1 meal a day, maybe 1.5 meals a day, so like 1 meal and a slightly smaller meal. Yourself, maybe 2 meals per day, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 sometimes. Most men tend to do about 2 to 2.5 meals per day. Eddie Hall, 6 meals per day if he's doing carnivore, just because he has to eat so much food. Me, I do 4 meals per day for the most part. So it's scale based on size. So most people fall into the 2 to 3 meals a day bracket. More extreme people, myself, 4 times. People like people say Sean Baker or Dr. Chief, they're anomalies. They've been doing it for a lot longer than I have. Their situation is different. But I guarantee if you had counterparts all over the world of Sean Baker and Chafee and myself, you'd find us all doing 2, 3 or 4 meals per day, or maybe 5 sometimes. So, you know, yeah, Sean does 2.
I'm doing 2. I'm trying to switch it up to add a small meal in for breakfast, but I eat at noon and then I try to eat at like 5 p.m., right? And then I try not to eat after that. Where I have issues is late at night when my stress and cortisol are, and I'm trying to get things done instead of going to bed. That's when I hate to use the word snacking, but that's when additional food seems to come in, whether it's hard-boiled eggs or bacon or something. I'm like, I'm just starving. I'm trying to instead maybe drink electrolytes instead, like hot water with some unflavored electrolytes in it, or get some salt in. Or if worst case scenario, just eat a couple pats of butter to calm my system down before I go to bed. That's what I'm trying to do. I've already discussed that, but maybe I need to add in a small meal, like for breakfast. Maybe I need to start eating like hard-boiled eggs and a couple pieces of bacon for breakfast and add in 3 meals. Maybe I'm a 3-meal person, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You are very fit. So adding a 4th meal in for you would probably, you know, because you are working, your output is so much more than someone like me. I'm a sedentary housewife who works a desk job all day. So I'm trying to add in more movement and be more intentional about movement, but sometimes that takes time.
My output component is 3 gym sessions a week of about an hour, low volume, never consecutive days. Average step count to 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day. I have to actively do that most days. I have to go for a walk with the dog. I can't do any more than that really. Other than that, complete sedentary, lying down. So when I'm actually moving, I'm doing something. You know, my steps aren't, you know, just incidental. But yeah, I think. Well, if you think about it as well, this is a bit of extrapolation, a bit of science, but the stomach capacity is something like 400 milliliters for the average person. I had mine checked. Mine's about 450, so I'm not that much more than most people's. So you think, okay, to get a stretch reflex in the gut, you're going to need more than 400 milliliters per meal. So for most people, you know, that's a pound of meat per meal. So for a lot of people, if they're doing, say a female might be doing 1.5 pounds a day and like 6 eggs. Yeah, she got 3 eggs, you know, 2/3 of a pound, whatever it is, in a meal. That's 2 meals per day. That's about 400 milliliters to stretch out the stomach to give you that. It's called mechanoreceptors in your gut, which give signals to your brain to say you're full. And you have taste receptors in your mouth, TS1, TS1, 2, TS1, 3, something like that. So the basic taste receptors say you have to have food that you enjoy tasting as well. That's the other part of satiety. Obviously we have like you can eat bland food. It doesn't really satiate satiety. You want more. You want salt. You want cheese with it. You want eggs. You want something added to it. Or you want ketchup or whatever it is. Then you think, okay, that's a benefit. Then you have a bit more. So you put seasonings, powders, barbecue sauce, I don't know, passata, whatever. That then increases the processed food element of it. Then it's more hyperpalatable. So you need enough to get the signal, but people override that signal constantly. So their dopamine hit from eating these foods as like a reward is inappropriate. I think that's where people go wrong. So going back to what we said earlier about problems when people start is they try to make food so luxurious, when really you need to get a frying pan, put a tablespoon of tallow in it, 1/2 pound of beef in it, a few eggs, salt, done, and just eat it.
It's so
get
good.
rid of all the fanciness of it. I think that's where some people might go wrong as well.
So good. Yes. And that is what I really like about Carnivore is I was making keto recipes for 8 years, Jonathan, and they would take hours to prepare. And now meat, eggs, butter, salt, and I'm done cooking in like 5 or 10 minutes. And then the worst part is the cleanup, and you're done. And I use the same pans over and over. Every once in a while, I'll put something in the oven for 3 hours, like a chuck roast, or I will put some pork belly in the oven. But the baking it, you just put it in and bake it, and you go do other things, and then it's done, right? Or smoking. Yeah. I like to smoke meat too, like on the weekends. And that, of course, that takes several hours, but you're not actually doing work. The tool that you're using is baking it for hours, and then when you pull it out, you just cut it up and it's ready to eat. The simplicity of Carnivore has been amazing. Like amazing. I can't imagine. And my husband now is eating Carnivore because of his illness. I don't even think he realizes it, and I don't tell him he's eating Carnivore, but he eats meat, eggs. He does have cottage cheese, and I have put him on a little bit of full-fat Greek yogurt because of the antibiotics he's been on. Supposedly that helps, and he likes the unflavored yogurt, which he thought it was disgusting at first, but now he likes it. So it's like a little bit of a like, and he doesn't, no vegetables. He's not eating any vegetables. And I'm telling you, he has healed from his serious condition in a very short amount of time. He's still healing, but things are 90% better. 90% better on Carnivore. And he has been keto for 7 years. So we both have taken the jump, and the simplicity of it, I just can't even, people think it's difficult. It's not difficult. It really isn't. It is so easy. And Kathy had a question. Kathy had a question for us. I don't know if you can find that. Yes. I don't know if you want to address this first, and then
I'll read it out. So Kathy asks, should it be consistent? I eat 2 during the week, once at 10, like eggs and some type of meat after coffee. Then around 6 or 7, eat some more meat or fish. Weekend, like once it has been. So 2 meals during the week, 1 on the weekend. Yeah. I mean, Phil Escott, for example, he does 2 meals one day, 1 meal the next day, and just alternates it. That's just what his appetite is. What you may find is maybe TMI, but my clients often sort of tell me their bowel movement frequency, firmness, Bristol stool chart sort of thing. And I'll work out how many meals they've had each day on average and look at that. I know if they've had too few meals, they feel a bit tired and sluggish. I look at their gut and I can see they're distended a bit. The body weight's up 1 kilo. Maybe they've not had enough meals. Maybe their insulin level isn't high enough in the body to stimulate the gastric motility side of things, so they're not going to the loo as much. So then that could compound into another issue. So sometimes being a coach isn't about just spotting something off the top of your hat. It's noticing something before it actually happens. So I'll just be mindful of it. And if you've been doing it for a while and it's not been a problem, then there's no issue, But for me personally, I do 4 meals nearly every day. If I've got a day where I'm just going to be so busy, I'm out and about, I'm not going to be able to sit down often enough, then 3 meals a day, but they'll just be bigger meals. I personally benefit from having the first meal early as possible in the day, just so it fuels me for my gym sessions and because I've got a lot of food to eat each day. And my last meal, I like to make sure I give it at least a 3-hour gap before I actually go to sleep. So at least it's gone through my stomach and it's now through like the final part of the enteric system. I've got quite a fast digestive rate, but still going to sleep when you're bloated and feeling heavy isn't great. So yeah, that's my standpoint on it, but it's mixed. It does depend.
I agree. I agree that it depends on the person. I mean, yesterday I was at the hospital all day with a loved one, and I thought that the procedure, my loved one would be done by noon, right? And I would be home, and then I just would eat when I got home. Well, the procedure took from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. We were there till all day. So I didn't have any food with me, and I did not go get the hospital food because my opinion is hospital food is crap. But So I fasted all day and I didn't even have a meal until 7 p.m. last night. And I probably should have just went to bed and not eaten at all, but I had to cook for my husband. And so I did end up eating a couple hamburger patties, 4 eggs, a little bit of butter and some salt, one meal. And then I went to bed. And honestly, I was tired, but I don't think it was from fasting. I think it was from the stress, right? I believe the stress of the day wore me out. But I think everybody's different. And I think I like the idea of alternating TMAD and OMAD, but if, like Jonathan said, if you're feeling tired and that's not enough, then maybe 2MAD. Some people need 3MAD. And if you work out a lot like Jonathan, then, 4MAD on some days might work for you. I think everybody needs to play around with it and see what is best for each individual. So yeah, stress is bad. Stress is just bad. I think stress is one of the biggest contraindications we can have on any healthy diet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And this is just my opinion. It's not medical advice. And so we need to put things into our daily routine. Movement for me, honestly, I have found and Dustin pointed this out, I have a very high stress lifestyle. I work a full-time job. I now have a coaching business. I have a YouTube channel. I take care of a 94-year-old with dementia. My parents and my dad hates us when I point out that they're 80 and they live next door, but they're starting to have health issues. So I deal with that. I have a husband who's been going through some pretty serious health issues. That's all stress. This is all stress. And so even 5 minutes to go out for a walk, to get fresh air, to 10 minutes in the morning to get sunlight, the breathing exercise helps. You have to, if you have a hobby, like grandma, crochet corner, take 30 minutes and crochet, or go paint a picture, or find something that you can do with your hands to get your mind off things. I'm spiritual. So I don't like talking about religion too much, but if you go read the Bible, go read a book, go find things for 10, 20 minutes, just things to get your mind off of whatever it is that's causing the stress. That's my opinion, right? It's my opinion. Thank you, Juju. I love you. Praying for you as well. What are your thoughts on stress relief, Jonathan? What do you do?
I just smile and nod, and sometimes I laugh at it. At this point, I pretty much wake up. It sounds so negative, but I wake up most days anticipating something will go wrong. But I anticipate it not with as much fear as I used to. It's more of a, what am I going to waste a lot of time on today trying to sort out? Most days there's quite a few items, but I think for stress management.
This is a good one. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on, Karen.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
What is it? Go on.
Oh, Angela Mullins just said she bought a coloring book for Christmas. That is okay. Everybody can color, right? We all learned how to color in 5 years old. So if you don't have any hobbies, coloring is great. Drawing, even if it's terrible, it just keeps your mind off things. I also sing. I sing in 2 choirs, and you can sing in the shower. You can sing when nobody's around. So you don't have to do like me, we're singing in public. You could just put some music, put your favorite music on and sing. And what else does singing do, Jonathan? What do you do when you're singing?
You're breathing and moving your mouth and use your lungs.
And I have found that has increased my lung capacity so much. And I've suffered with asthma since I've been a kid. And so breathing in and breathing out and singing causes you to breathe without you even knowing it, taking deep breaths. So even if you're a terrible singer, just throw on your music that you like really loud and just sing. Even if it's the wrong lyrics, nobody cares. Do it by yourself. You don't have to do it in public. It's great. I really advocate singing. And when I go to my rehearsals, because I'm in a choir, so I have rehearsals, I come home after those rehearsals and I just feel so mentally, I feel so much better. So singing is another thing that I advocate for, and you don't have to be a good singer to do that. Right? Or reading aloud. Reading aloud causes you to breathe in and breathe out. And you don't have to do it in a public place. You can do it when you're by yourself, in the bathroom, in the shower, in the kitchen, that sort of thing. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
No, it's interesting to hear the rationale behind it. And I could see that that could be useful for someone that maybe they can't leave the house at all. There's still something you can do just sat there. So it's just goes to show, doesn't it? I recommend actually DC Rebuilding, his YouTube channel. He's my friend out over an Aussie gentleman, my very weird neurodivergent kind of counterpart, who's probably about double my age, but it looks about half my age. But he's a nice guy. He does breathwork coaching online, so definitely check his channel out if anyone's listening. I participate in that stuff, and yeah.
I plan on, actually, I haven't done this, and this is something because I want to use his videos for my coaching clients. Right now, I just do box breathing, but everyone just recommends him. So I'm going to start pulling up his videos and doing the breath work myself. And then I'm going to send it to my coaching clients because he's a master at it. And, why reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done the work for us, right? They've done the work. So, and the other thing that I want to do personally, so I am not as good a shape as you, Jonathan. I've dealt with 3 left hip surgeries, a lot of surgeries, but I want to start doing functional exercises, maybe for the people who aren't as mobile. I've already started doing the planks, which I'm not very good at it. I have only made it a minute. Bacon runner, Donna Ray, she got on the other day because of me, and she's right off the bat 4 minutes. Okay. But and you really inspired me because you're like, well, you got to start somewhere, and doing a little bit of movement is better than no movement. And so that's my message to everybody. Maybe you can only make a 30-second plank, right? Or a 30-second wall sit, or maybe you can only lift 5 pounds. And I was worried about my form. I'm like, I really don't want to get on here and have bad form and have people look at me and like, she's doing this in a crap way, right? But you really inspired me because you're like, your form will get better over time as you build core, as you build muscles. So thank you for that comment, because I'm like, oh my gosh, Jonathan's watching me and he's going to say her back's not straight. Her arms are shaking, something's bad, but you just got to get out there and do something. You can't let that worry you.
Yeah, I think you should use and anticipate these things as being some kind of skill, and that over time your effort level will increase as you get more used to that skill. For example, I'm 5 years old, Jonathan. I kick a football towards a goal. It goes the wrong way and I fall over. Okay, I do it next time. I hit the ball, but it goes the wrong way. Okay, next time I get it towards the goal, but it just skims the net. You think of it that way. Then as soon as you start getting better skill, you feel better, more confident doing it. Then you can start upping the intensity, so you can actually try harder. So I think people should focus mostly on technique first, because then it builds you on a good foundation for later on. As you get stronger, fitter, you can take on more exercises, do more adaptive, more challenging compound movements, so you can actually start to be a bit more specialized with your intensity level. And I think a lot of people, they go at these things full hog and think, oh, if I try really hard, it'll work. It's like, well, no, you want to do the minimal to get the most result, but just make sure that minimal is good. So, like I said, I mean, I exercise, go to the gym like 3 hours a week, but that, it's 3 hours, I get a lot done. It's, it's hard work. My sort of physical challenges limit my recovery capacity, so I got to find how hard can I train to get the most results, whilst also trying to mitigate damage from trying too hard by doing too much and not being able to recover. So as soon as you start thinking things as an equation, it's a bit more easy. So effort here, you've got recovery here. You want to try and get them married together, so you're recovering but still getting the effort involved, which allows the progress to go up. So people just need to think things from very basic, simple standpoints. I mean, for me, it's not so much about the programs I make for the client, it's more about the execution. Like I could give someone 5 exercises, and if I get them to do them exactly right, perfectly every time, every year, they get better results than me giving them 20 that are just fluff and not very good. So a plank, a push-up, a pull-up, a hold, a dip, you're done. That's a squat. That's all you need, a wall sit. That's like 5-6 exercises anyone can do at home for the most part. And there's ways to get around doing it. So I made a video 2 years ago that's called Ultimate Carnivore bodyweight workout, and it's got 2 variations for all of those exercises. And I'll show you how to do it. It's narrated, so you know exactly what you're doing, and it's achievable by anyone. I think I got one lady who was 94 to do it, and within about 2 weeks, she's getting like I think a 20% increase in reps or time. So
I have a goal. So I'm going to check that out. Thank you for putting that video out there, because I'm going to go check that out, because I have 2 goals. I used to, as an athlete, be able to do push-ups and sit-ups. Currently, I cannot do one traditional push-up. I cannot do a push-up. I do not have the upper body strength, but it's a goal for me to be able to do push-ups. I have never in my life, never been able to do a pull-up. Never. I don't know what it is.
They're hard. That's what it is.
I would love to do one pull-up, like one. I don't know if I'll ever get to that goal. The push-ups, I know that if I work at it. What is your recommendation? I have an idea what I want to do, but what is your recommendation to start doing push-ups to be able to build up to a regular push-up?
I'll probably start on your hands and knees first, and perhaps use maybe a cushion on your hands if you're not used to like having a lot of weight for your palm sort of thing. Use shoes as well if you can, if you need more grip. If you're trying to do this, you're not braced well because your feet are slipping everywhere. That makes it harder. So you're trying to isolate the core of the trunk of the body to get better resilience against falls. You're more upright, better posture, better abdominal control. But there will be some overlap in terms of like your chest and shoulders and arms being added in, and legs even. But from there, you just basically do a full push-up, but you might do your arms very wide apart, like wide. But when you do it, rather than just going all the way up, all the way down, maybe you struggle with the lockout bit. So maybe you think, I struggle with this part of it, so therefore I'm weak in this part. So rather than doing the full up and down, just do the top bit, the lockout. And over time, you'll be able to marry the 2 parts of the movement together, make a full push-up, so you develop strength over time. That's the way I'd sort of go about doing a push-up class to start again.
Yeah, so I have a couple other ideas to add to that. I like the lockout period where you just it's kind of like a plank, but your arms are extended, right? To get you used to it.
Isometric contraction, yeah.
And then I heard that starting out, you could just lower yourself down slowly, not do the actual up part, but the down part. Start with that. And the other thing that I heard is that you could start on an incline, like stairs. And then as you get better at it, you can work your way down each step. And as the angle changes lower and lower, it gets harder and harder. But start up at an angle on steps, and my whole house is steps, so that shouldn't be a problem. What are your thoughts on doing an inclined push-up first?
That's a good way of doing it, because ultimately, if you think of what's in the way of the direction of pushing, if you're doing a shoulder press, so more upright, there's a lot in your body. There's a lot of torso stability, because you've got your spine, you've got your back, your scapula. As if it's more horizontal, so you're doing a flat horizontal push-up. You've only got the space between that part of your chest and your back. So there's more muscle, more material to brace against. So over time, you make it harder by increasing the resistance, by having a more expanded chest plate, basically.
Yeah, so that's something I'm going to be working on too, is push-ups. I don't know why I want to do a push-up. It's probably because when I was an athlete, I used to do so many of them. I used to be able to, when I was a volleyball player, we would do this for intimidation purposes of the other team, but we would walk across the volleyball court on our hands. So I used to be able to walk in a handstand across the entire court on my hands. So do a handstand and walk. There's no way I'm ever going to do that again at 50 years of age. I mean, I should never say never, but that's not a goal of mine. A goal would be just to do push-ups and, sit-ups and core strengthening exercises. I would love to be able to do a chin-up, but I've never in my life, even when I was an athlete, be able to pull myself up in a chin-up. That would be cool. But, baby steps, but getting strength as I'm aging and I'm over 50 now. I would like to just work on strengthening my muscles and what is that called? Sarcopenia, avoid sarcopenia, which is a true thing, as we age.
Yeah, I mean, you're already doing the best start you can for the job. I think this is actually a video I've been scripting, I think yesterday actually, about how someone would like start a big weight loss journey. So it'll be quite a brief video, maybe 10-15 minutes. So basically say, if you're using GLP-1 drugs, this is how you should use them. This is a way to mitigate side effects, not medical advice, just advice from a nutritionist who happens to fucking know something. Then the training program to go alongside that, and the diet. So what, like a sort of a 3-step way to lose weight, manage your body composition on a GLP-1 sort of journey. Yeah, what I found when I was looking at my notes, like historically, just anecdotally what I see, 1 to 4 training sessions per week, something like, I don't know, 5 to 10, maybe 15 sets per session, depends how much you can recover from.
Right.
Main movements, no fluff movements, so you don't need to do single leg, bent over, ankle cuffed cable, like leg kickbacks. It's more just like proper movements which involve like the whole of your body. Ideally resistance machines, slow concentric, slow eccentric repetitions, so you're controlled. Just going to a point where you can sort of say, it's quite challenging now, then thinking to yourself, is it safe for me to do another one or not? And if it's not safe, don't do it, don't attempt it.
Yeah.
But that will get most people, like I say, 1 to 4 sessions per week, about half an hour to an hour. I get most people 95% of the results. You're not going to get better by doing something every day. You're probably going to make yourself tired. Cardio, for the most part, is a bit of a waste of time, unless you're doing it to improve fitness. But then I say, well, why in your life would you ever need to improve your fitness by cycling on a bike for an hour every day? Like, when would that happen in your day-to-day life, unless your job is a cyclist? So my kind of emphasis is on doing functional sort of movements in a safe sort of exercise pattern, plain movement, and just trying to get the most bang for your buck whilst doing the least, because I think you can always scale up or down. If you're doing too much, you might be too late, sort of thing, might be badly recovered, you might get an injury. So yeah, that's my method.
Well, and the recovery is part of it too. Like, you shouldn't do so much that you hurt so bad that you can't move. Like, you have to build up to it, right? Because yesterday I was feeling the plank. Like, when I was sitting in the hospital, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of sore here, but it wasn't too bad. But it was just like, oh, I feel something. Like, but there have been times where I've worked out so hard that I couldn't walk for 3 days, right? You shouldn't do that. You should build up to it slowly. And if you do have a day where you overdo it, then that's the limit, that, maybe back it off just a little bit and build up to that, in my opinion, because you need to be able to recover from the movement that you're doing without not being able to sleep and not being able to get out of bed in the morning, especially if you're older, Yeah. So that's a good point.
Recovery is the bottleneck of training when it comes to bodybuilding. We can extrapolate that to the general population. You can always train harder, you can always eat more food. If you're not sleeping at night, what's going to happen? There's been studies done on athletes that have like stayed in bed for an extra hour and got an extra hour's sleep versus the ones that got up an hour early and did cardio. You can't outwork or out supplement or out diet a bad recovery. You can take drugs, performance enhancing drugs, medications, things which patch things up a bit. But long story short, you're going to get diminishing returns, because once you've just done too much, where are you going to go from there? So training should be incremental. Safety should be prioritized. Intensity should be as high as possible that you can recover from. I think as well, people have to learn that it's okay to take a day off the gym sometimes. It's almost like you're better off taking a step back to take 2 steps forwards on occasions. My general training week might be Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. But some weeks I'm like, Saturday's really messed me up and I might not come back in again until Wednesday. What I might do is do Wednesday, Friday, Sunday the next week. So there's nothing wrong with pushing days back or forward a bit. Yeah. I mean, you're covering the same over a certain period of time. And if it is too much and it's chronically week after week, you're having to push days back and back and back, you need to reduce what you're doing or find a better way to recover it. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get better.
I loved that you said you cannot outrun a bad diet, because that is so much part of my story. Like, so I grew up in the low fat era in the 90s, right? Where girls, well, everyone, but girls in particular, we're told to eat low fat, right? Low fat, low fat. And when
Yeah.
I was an athlete, I was eating low fat, even at a very young age as a teenager. And so that stuck with me, even when I was doing protein sparing modified fasting, low fat carnivore, whatever. And before I got back on the ketogenic lifestyle, I thought, well, as long as I exercise enough, I can eat whatever I want. So I was almost 300 pounds. I'm about 5'9", between 5'9" and 5'10". And I thought, I'm never dieting again. I'm done starving myself. And so as long as I work out enough, I can eat whatever I want. So Jonathan, I'm telling you, like 3 or 4 times a week, I would go to the gym and I would do cardio. And I'm talking, I would do 2 hours of cardio, and I was heavy. I was a fat lady trying to do 2 hours of cardio. I'm just going to say it like it is. And I would do the elliptical. I would get on the treadmill. I would do these stair climber things, which are murder, right? The stair stepping things are murder. And I would be, I mean, I was strong. I was probably stronger than I am now, but I was fat. I'm just going to say I was fat. And then I would come home and I would be so hungry from all of that cardio. I'm like, I'm starved, but I can eat whatever I want, right? I can just, and I would do like 2,000 calorie workouts for like 3 hours. And then I would come home and I would eat the trashiest plate of trash. Like I would, at 10 o'clock at night, I would do a plate of nachos with meat, cheese, all of this garbage and I would just sit there and I would eat like 3,000 calories of nachos in one sitting. The biggest plate. It would feed 5 people. But I'm like, I could eat whatever I want. Do you think I ever lost weight? Do you think I lost weight eating? You cannot.
Or just got inflamed.
No, I
got inflamed and felt like
weight.
crap. Yeah.
I did. But I'm like, I'm working out. I can do whatever I want. And honestly, when I first went keto, I couldn't even work out at all. I was going through all these hip surgeries. I was on crutches. I mean, I probably could have found exercises that I could do on crutches, right? Like the crutching itself was exercise. So I was getting exercise, moving around, no weight bearing. For a year, I was on crutches, and the only exercise I got was at the physical therapist. I lost 60 pounds that year. I lost 60 pounds that year unknowingly eating mostly a carnivore diet because I had a meat aversion. So the only thing that I would eat is eggs and bacon with an occasional salad. I lost 60 pounds the year that I wasn't even able to step foot in a gym. So if someone is bedridden, if someone is wheelchair ridden, if somebody isn't able to do things, I'm telling you right now, you don't need the exercise to begin your weight loss journey. I'm living proof of that. I was on crutches for a year in 2018 through 2019. I ate mostly eggs and bacon because I had a beef aversion for a year, and I blame anesthesia for that. And I lost 60 pounds that year, not even stepping foot on a treadmill. So I don't know what your thoughts. You don't have to be an athlete or in the gym to start this process, and you can lose weight even with low movement.
I'm very conflicted when I hear some arguments. One being, if I advise someone to do resistance training in the gym, I don't want to end up too muscly like you. I want to keep my curves. And I say, I'm quite muscular, but you're female as well. I've been doing this for about 17 years.
Right.
If you had 10 times less result than me over 1.7 years, you're not going to really meaningfully become a muscular bodybuilder. I find it, one, frustrating because people don't understand that. Is it ignorance? I don't know. But two, the other side of it is as if it's just achievable. Just you go to the gym, it just happens. I just lift some weights, it just happens. I sort of tried to make people's objectives as realistic as possible. I also notice that people often have an aversion to exercise, and I understand it. Some people say I couldn't do that in the gym. I understand why, because it's hard and you don't want to do things that are hard. You have to reframe your mindset and understand it's a challenge. It's something that you can overcome. It's a current hurdle which can be trod over or jumped straight over with the right sort of method and the right action plan. But if we look at the potential weight loss from body composition improvement from managing your diet effectively versus managing training, you're getting 80 to 85% of the benefit from the diet alone. So like you said, you might be doing 5 times more effort with your training, your diet, for up to maybe 15% benefit. Because if you just tried a little bit less hard with your training, as in not do the hour or 2 of cardio a day, which just stimulates your appetite, to then just doing maybe 20 minutes a day, then if that frees up 50% of your diet, you've got better results, more free time. So a lot of times with clients, I'm often trying to stave them away from doing extra. There's no benefit or heart benefit to doing something like above, was it 120 to 150 minutes of exercise per week? So if someone's doing more than 3 hours per week, I'm probably going to scale it back in most instances, because the benefit isn't there anymore. You're just spending more time exercising. But the flip side, if you're doing this as a means to socialize more, that means you're not at home staring at your fridge all day. Yeah, maybe do 5 hours a week of exercise if it's a net positive, but you have to be realistic with yourself and say, am I doing too much or am I not? Is this sustainable? I think the key here for me is sustainability of the exercise. So, I mean, if someone's like who I described earlier, a die-hard, I'm a really strict sort of person, but they're not, I'm actually going to pull them back as much as I can, so I know they've got more room to increase the intensity as time goes on. But at least now it leaves them with that point where they can easily adhere to it and sustain it reliably over a period of time. So
that's great advice. Yeah. And for me, like I said, my goal is not to look like Jonathan, right? No. My goal is to avoid falls. First of all, I have a weak hip, and I think the stronger we are, the less chance of falling as we age. And then also to build bone density, muscles, more just to ward off the aging process for me. And I will say one thing I'm struggling with, and I can use this as a benefit. I have pets. I have cats. I order these like 40-pound boxes of kitty litter 3 at a time. And let me tell you, my upper body strength is what I'm trying to work on right now because it's weak. For me to carry these 40-pound, I know 40 pounds is nothing for you, but for me to carry around these 40-pound boxes of kitty litter is a big challenge. I can do it, but it's like, ugh. But I can use those. You can do functional medicine. You can fill up gallon jugs with water and you can lift those, right? You can use those as weights. I want to eventually be lifting these 40-pound boxes of kitty litter like they're nothing, right? Yeah. Because I've let myself kind of atrophy a little bit. So that's why I'm doing all these functional exercises to try to build up my muscles so that, I am strong and I am fit. And so I don't have falls and I can carry the things in my house without relying on somebody else. So, and I believe these are all achievable goals for me. Right.
Yeah. That's what I used to do. My brother and I, when we locked down over here in England, we're getting gallon jugs, filling up with water, sand, whatever we could. We bought went to a DIY shop. We got a pulley system with a cable over it. We did pull downs and push downs and push ups on the floor outside, use bands. Like, I think, honestly, you probably, I'd say if you've got a towel at home, that's probably the only piece of equipment you really need to work your whole body. As in, you can do an exercise for every single body part with just a towel.
Wow. Do you have a video on that? If not, you need to have one.
It's the same one. Yeah, it's the same one I used to towel in one of the videos. Okay. So you can do I think I posted it in the chat here earlier, so the guys might be able to find it. But
I will look for that.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description below or something. It's called an Ultimate Home Bodyweight Workout. I can find it later. But yeah, I mean, you don't need a lot of equipment. Just need a bit of patience. And I mean, I pay for a gym membership. It's like a health club in a hotel. So it's got a gym, sauna, steam room, swimming pool, cold plunge, showers, cardio equipment, whatever I want to use, sort of thing. I pay quite a bit for that, yeah, but it's worth it because it means for 3 hours, 3 times a week, I can do all those things. I can do my recovery biohacks and things with the sauna and the pool. increase my lung capacity. So I might actually do a length of the pool without breathing, or hold my breath. So I add these little. I find stacking these little habits in helps.
It does.
I think over time you do get a benefit from it, but yeah, you got to find something you can just achieve weekly. And people might say to me, "Oh, but you can train 4 times per week." And I'm like, well, even if I lived next to the gym or in the gym, I still wouldn't go 4 times per week. To be honest, just I can't recover.
I have a gym membership too, and it's only $10 a month. Like I have a Planet Fitness gym membership, and I'm never going to do free weights. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm never going to do free weights, but
I prefer machines, Amy.
Yeah. Planet Fitness, $10 a month. I signed up years ago. I would like to start going there maybe once a week and then do home exercise. I haven't made it back to the gym yet just because of my crazy lifestyle. So, but I intend to go there, and I'm not going to give up the gym membership because it is only $10 a month. So I'm grandfathered in at that price. But that's something on my list of things that I would like to start going back there at least once a week to add into the home exercises I'm doing, because they do have some machines there that I can work different parts of the body that I think, but you don't have to have a gym membership. You could do tons. And a lot of people are buying these ruck vests now, the ruck vests where you put weights in them, and just walk around and do farmer's carries where you're walking around carrying things. I also have some ankle weights that I can put on my ankles. And sometimes I wear the ankle weights when I go to the grocery store, right? I probably look ridiculous, but I don't care. And then I push the cart and I do like high steps with the ankle weights on while I'm walking in the grocery store. So they're talk about the habit
I do that
stacking.
in the pool. Yeah, I do that in the pool. So my mobility in my hips and lower back isn't good. So I can't like do deep stretches like I used to, but I can go in a pool. I can feel more stable because there's less, there's more water resistance, there's less body weight, gravity, mobility, what's the word? Balance issues. So I can just do high knees and kick back, high knees with each step sort of thing. I'll do go there and back 5, 6, 7 times. Takes 10, 15 minutes probably. It keeps me mobile sort of thing. It's something you can just stack. So, my dad used to do this and probably still does. When he's waiting in Lidl or something, or Aldi, doing a food shop, he'll be in the queue. And he'll be like doing a single leg calf raise. He'll be like, just doing tiptoes every few seconds sort of thing. Or he'll bring his knee up to his chest sort of thing whilst waiting in the queue. He said, "Oh, there's nothing else to do now. I might as well keep myself limber." And my dad's not an exerciser, but he's one of those people with very good genetics. Like I've seen him before, and he's joined the gym for like a week, and he's got like abs. And you're like, what? He's one of those outlier people. You put him in a gym and get him to do any exercise, and he's fit and lean, everything. So, yeah,
must be nice. I look at food and I gain weight, even carnivore food. So it must be nice to have those genetics.
Yeah, I mean, I've been heavy before. Been 125 kilos, I think 280 pounds or something. I was fatter, but I was very strong, but very unfit. Walking up 5 steps was, when I got to top it, it's like I had to stop as if I was like gonna pass out. That was my limit. I'm 6'1", so I'm quite a tall bloke anyway. But
wow.
Yeah, I just don't feel good, so I stay lean all the time now. What I will say is, on a carnivore diet, I find it's very easy to reach satiety, and I don't feel like I've got to eat more. I don't have that sort of binging urge as much. And I was away on holiday in Lanzarote for 2 weeks, so I couldn't weigh any of my food. So I had to eyeball it, estimate it. And bear in mind, I've been tracking every single thing I put in my mouth in terms of food for the last 9 to 10 years. So I've got a good eye for like, this is 150 gram chicken breast, Anyway, I did 2 weeks. On the way back from holiday, I came back and weighed myself, and I was about 8 pounds lighter.
Wow.
So for me, eating to satiety, so I just ate satiety of each meal, but had in my mind how much I need to eat something. It wasn't enough. So I'd lose weight on a carnivore diet if I didn't track what I was eating. When I eat a lot of food. Do you see what I mean? So as the goals get more extreme, you have to, you'll find that pinch point and find that bottleneck where you try a bit harder. So me gaining muscle now or losing fat. Losing fat's very easy. But gaining muscle, I have to work 10, 20 times harder than I used to because I'm doing everything else already. So you mentioned earlier something about, I didn't really answer the question, but you asked about like stress relief and stress management. I counted all the biohacks I do in a given week, and it's about 55 different things. And how much of 55? 55 different things. Yeah. like
Wow.
a lot, and that doesn't count every individual supplement or whatever I'm taking.
So you
so
take
it's-
supplements.
Yes, I use liver, kidney support supplements, heart support supplements, digestion supplements, fish oils. I'm quite selective about what I use. I use the clinically used approved doses for things. Yeah, I find them generally helpful. I mean, I've had better blood work because of using them than not. So,
Well, I use a couple, like the vitamin D3, K2, zinc, magnesium, but there's one that I've been taking a lot of heat for right now for taking, and this is controversial, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, and people have just been blasting me for it, but it's been helping
is it fiber?
me. No, I
No.
won't take fiber. No, I have been taking Berberine Plus. And
Yeah.
here is why, because it has helped with the hunger signals. Now, I'm a little worried about this, and I'll tell you why. It is helping me right now. It's like a natural metformin, right? But it's a supplement. It is helping me. I hate being hungry all the time, and I hate thinking about food. And I don't have food noise in the sense that I want to snack, but like I said, my leptin and ghrelin signals are off, and I've been taking berberine, and I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry anymore. But here's the problem with it, Jonathan. A couple of days I have forgotten to take it. And what do you think happened? What do you think happened when I forgot to take it?
Appetite went bananas.
I'm hungry again. So I'm a little concerned about taking the supplement because it's like any other GLP-1s will be like this. It's a patch, and I understand this. So I got to think about this a little bit harder. While I love taking it and I feel really good on it, and it has stopped the hunger signals, I know that the minute that I stop this, my hunger is going to return just like anything. So I need to come up with a thought about this. And I was taking it temporarily. What I used berberine before was it boosts your HDL. And my doctors have always been on my back about cholesterol, right? So I would take it 8 weeks before I went to the doctor. And so I would boost my HDL and get my, it was just a thing to get my doctor off my back. So I boost my HDL before my blood test, get my doctor off my back, and my cholesterol ratio would be in range. And in the minute I had my blood test, I would stop taking it. And then I wouldn't take it for 6 more months until my blood test. So that's what I was using it before. But now I'm using it for a different reason. And I don't necessarily know that I like it. It is working. It is working with the hunger. But I know that the minute I stop taking it, I'm going to be hungry again. So it's controversial. I've been taking a lot of heat for it. And I'm not entirely sure on my own, and maybe it's something I got to wean off of. Right now, I'm only taking 2 doses a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and it is helping with I don't want to say cravings. It's helping with hunger signals. But eventually, I don't want to take it forever. So I'm going to have to really think long and hard about how I wean off of it and what I do once my hunger increases. What are your thoughts on that? What recommendations would you have?
I'm exceptionally well versed in all things supplements related. Berberine is one of them. People use between 500 milligrams to 1.5 grams per day. In comparison with the medication, like you said, metformin, is quite similar. It just has less apparent side effects and more potential benefits. It is more efficacious in terms of long-term health improvements. There are a number of downsides to metformin. One of them includes something like a 20 to 25% B vitamin inhibiting effect. So it means you actually need more food. And the only true benefit it does have that's truly studied in terms of the mechanism of action is an AMPK signaling stimulator, which means it is almost like an exercise mimetic, which acts as a way to resensitize GLUT4 receptor sites in muscle cells, which means that the food that you take in is more likely to be converted into muscle glycogen. That will be reserved. Your energy stores will be preserved higher. Your leptin signals will therefore be less deranged. They'll be higher, which means your appetite will be lower. That's how it works. And
the berberine
is very similar. where it has less of a gastric negative effect. There's one supplement which is a grade above that called dihydroberberine. The same thing, but it just is more cell specific. Says the same benefits, but with less side effects in terms of gut disruption. The way I would wean off it personally would be to use it prior to the time of day that you typically have the highest food noise, or I'd use that in conjunction with exercise, which would stimulate the same MPK cortisol increase, which would have a mild appetite suppressing effect. So that's how I'd take it. I'd titrate the dose down as well.
Yep. And my biggest problem's at night. So eventually, as I increase my exercise, maybe I can skip the morning dose and only take it at night, like, 6 p.m. so that between 7 and 10 p.m., which is when I really get hungry, I can titrate down to one dose and then eventually titrate totally off of it. So it's not a long-term plan of mine, but right now I will say I am having gastric issues with it. So sometimes I have to strategically not take it when I'm going to be going somewhere, right? Because you don't want to have bathroom issues when you're going. So it does affect my gastrointestinal. And so I don't like it for that. But when I took it previously for the cholesterol benefit, over time, that like intestinal issue went away. So I do think that resolves when you take it, but I don't want to be on something forever to help my hunger signals. I'm hoping my hunger signals on long-term carnivore, from what I've heard with people, and sometimes it takes 18 months, folks, for this stuff to recover. I'm hoping over time that I can wean off of it and just be normal, like normal, not hungry all the time. So that's the goal. But I've been taking a lot of heat. Well, you're carnivore. You shouldn't have to take any supplements. You shouldn't have to.
Most carnivores take supplements, Amy.
Yeah.
I've
so you know what?
I've spoken with thousands of people. Not like I'm talking thousands. Most of them, as in like, I'll be surprised to meet many people that don't. Magnesium, one of them. Amount of people that still take a multivitamin. Amount of people that still take vitamin C, 1,000 milligram capsules. Yes. I use them personally. I don't think I use them for the same reasons other people do. I don't think they're health promoting for the average person on a carnivore diet. Apart from some things might be anecdotally useful, like magnesium. I use mine because I do something which is inherently dangerous and has a lot of risk associated with it. So I'm using it from a prevention strategy. If there's data out there that says using 600 milligrams to 1.2 milligrams of N-acetyl cysteine improves my liver health and prevents me from having liver cirrhosis and cancer, then I'm going to take it.
Well, and here's the deal. Jonathan and I both take supplements. Do all carnivores need supplements? Probably not. But good for you. I'm not telling people I'm not promoting this, and I'm not telling people you have to go out and take this, right? I'm not getting paid. This is just me trying to figure some things out with myself to make my life better. And I will tell you, when I take berberine, I'm not as hungry. And honestly, that makes me a happier person. When I'm not constantly thinking about what I'm going to have for my next meal, I'm a happier person. And right now, my leptin and ghrelin is off, right? It's a little off. So I found a tool that is hopefully temporarily helping me to not walk around like a crazy, mad, hungry person all the time, wondering like, there's a squirrel over here I want to eat or something. You know what I'm saying? Like my hunger was that like intense. So it's just a tool that I'm taking. And I'm glad to hear that you're not totally like demonizing me about using a tool.
Yeah, I speak from a massive amount of experience on it, just because I used to manage the best health food store in the south of England. And I was in charge of what was being stocked in the shop and what wasn't. I know all about the quality control. I know ISO 9001. I know the difference between FDA approval and our approval ratings. In the States, there's not a great deal of regulatory fashion to manufacturing. There's a lot of potential toxins in a lot of these things. They use a lot of filtering substances, chemicals, can't remember which ones, but basically when they create these formulas, your multivitamin blend, your herbal anthocyanin bloody complex, I don't know, they have to be put in this drum which spins to mix it so it's even distribution of different elements within the capsule, but they have to add these ingredients to it so it doesn't stick to the sides under the heat. Then it's also got to be cooled at the same time. So there's lots of like other little elements that come into making these supplements. And oftentimes on the label, it doesn't actually include everything that's in them. And also you're worrying about, for example, I mean, you're talking about berberine. One item from one compound, from one source, one supplier, probably checked, factory labeled in the drum that is originally come from in the raw powder, put into a capsule that's probably gelatin, which is quite standardized anyway. There's little that could go wrong. But when you start doing microgreens, super blends, 25 different fruit extracts that are all dead anyway because it's dried and heated to hell, what's that going to do for you? So I like to think you use a simple molecule, a chemical, an extract, a vitamin, a mineral, an amino acid in isolation. You know what it does in and out of the body. You might see a benefit, you might not. But the thing is, the blends, which is what I have a problem with. So I could open my cupboard and there's like, I don't know, 10, 15 different things. I don't use every single one every day. But if I notice, my eye's getting inflamed, I've had a bit too much seasoning this week, I know the fix for that for me, as an individual, my remedy is liposomal glutathione or injectable glutathione. And I use a serving of that at night. And the next day I feel normal again.
Wow.
You know, so that's why you have to use these things. They have to be strategically put in. So I don't believe in covering bases. I believe in mitigating damage and focusing on specific symptoms. That makes sense.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So awesome. Good stuff. Thanks. Thanks again for not. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think we've got a question we might want to answer. CB Genesis asks, what's your preferred way to lean out or drop body fat? Also, what could you recommend others? What's your thoughts on this, Amy, as you're here?
Oh gosh, I was going to defer this to you because I'm not lean. I am basically.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. So I am heavier now than I was, I would say, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I'm at 173 and I'm about 5'9". I was down to 148. So I'm still kind of figuring it out but I'm also dealing with some hormonal issues and recovering from thyroid. So leaning out really isn't a priority of mine right now. My priority is to build muscle and improve my health and wellness, right? I'm not freaking out about the 25-pound weight gain. Jonathan is much more of a physical trainer than what I am. Now, when I leaned out, I did lower fat, high protein. Okay. But there are many ways to drop weight. There are many ways to lose weight and become lean, but not all of them are muscle building techniques. So again, for me, I think everybody has to figure out high protein is good. You have to have protein, as Jonathan indicated in the beginning of the stream. And then the fat, you have to figure out. Everyone's different. You have to figure out, and you have to tune the fat either up or down to figure out what will cause you to lean out. So I think that question could be multifaceted and it could be individualized based on everybody's hormone levels, what your body mass is currently, and what your goals are. So that's a loaded question for me. I think Jonathan might be more of an expert as far as his bodybuilding experience. I am not a bodybuilder. So I have different goals than most people, but go ahead. I'll turn it over to you. You'll have a much more.
I think you don't make any errors, Amy, put it that way. You made some good points. So specifically about finding the protein intake, making sure that's set, understanding it's the fat intake is what's going to change your relative body composition in terms of adipose tissue stored in your body. That's the main thing. I think finding the right protein amounts you're satiated. If you're training, it's enough that you're not overly sore. It's that you're holding onto your muscle levels, but your strength in your gym as well. Track what you do in the gym if you are doing anything, or track how you feel subjectively. Some days you feel run down, you've not slept well, you're dehydrated, you've been up all night going to the loo, you just don't feel strong. That's a day when you know, okay, my strength's down. When you start having more of those days or more signals of poor recovery, you're probably eating too little, and it's usually either protein or fat. If it's soreness related, if it's strength related to the gym, probably protein for the largest part. If it's you're not sleeping well, your skin feels dry, joints feel dry, it's probably the fat's too low. So you got to sort of scale things up and down based on your symptoms. The idea is to get the best result with the minimum amount of detriment to your body. So if you want to make a quick jump, the fast way to do it is a protein sparing modified fast, or not eating anything, which is not much fun. But you can adhere to a protein sparing modified fast, in my opinion, better than just not eating anything. And it also retains the muscle tissue that you've gained, if at all. So focus on protein first. Anecdotally, based on my clients over the past 3 years on a carnivore or animal-based diet, I can say that the average protein intake for them has been between 2.2 and 2.5 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
Yep.
So that's a bit more than the 1 gram per pound that people typically say. I'll also mention that these people are typically fit, relatively lean. So if you're 50% body fat, no, you don't need 2.5 grams, 2 grams or per kilo, or a bit less maybe. So it's relative to actual muscle tissue in your body. You know, I mean, if Amy was if Amy was, I don't know, 100 pounds in body weight, she's not going to need, you know, a tiny amount of protein. She's going to be on the higher end because she needs to sustain the muscle tissue that she's built up, if any. So you got to find that sort of thing first. For me, if I give my sort of situation, it's relevant now. So I'm 2 weeks into my bodybuilding competition preparation. Contest is in 8 weeks. When you first start a diet, you're at the peak of your off-season foods high. You have a high capacity to recover from your training, get things done. Recovery is good. Sleep's usually pretty good. You can make a big drop initially in terms of your fat intake. Then that allows you to drop body fat fast, quick. You'll get a faster result in doing it slowly. But you've also got to time that with the rest of it. So if, say, the first 3 weeks I dropped down from 250 fat to 200 grams of fat, that's quite a significant amount. That's, I don't know, what, 20-25% of my dietary fat gone. You ride that out for as long as you can. You get to a point where it sort of sticks, your body weight isn't going down, you're not looking any leaner. Okay, make another jump. But that next jump is a bit smaller because, you know, if you've managed with good recovery to drop that much, with poor recovery where you're less well slept, you're not well slept, you're not recovering well, you're not as adequately supplied in terms of your energy intake, then yeah, you're going to need to make a smaller jump to make more progress, because you're not going to be able to sustain the rest of the fat loss phase if you just make these massive jumps. So I prefer, while you're well recovered, well fed, big jump, then a small jump, keep getting smaller and smaller until you get to your end goal. The way you work out how long each phase of that is based on, like I said, recovery, maintaining your strength in the gym, the time frame that you have. If you come to me and say, I've got 3 weeks, do whatever you like, I don't care, just want to drop all the weight. Okay. Lots of black coffee, trying to find a way to stay awake, protein sparing modified fast, very high protein, very low fat, zero carb. Take a fish or supplement so your joints don't kill you immediately. That's how I do it. Okay.
Well, I have to say this. I am the protein sparing modified fast queen. I hesitate to talk about that. How many? I did one for 4 years. So if you'll allow me to talk about this for a little bit. So that's how I dropped. Yeah,
I'm interested. Yeah.
Okay. So I learned about protein sparing modified fasting from the Emmerichs. Essentially, and this is a bodybuilder thing that was designed in the 80s. This is not the Emmerichs tool, right? This was done for bodybuilders to lean mass, like to lean up. And what I used it for was it broke me through a 2-year weight loss stall. I had stalled on my weight loss for 2 years. So, and you don't do it every day. I was doing it 1 to 3 days a week. And I was also doing an OMAD PSMF. So 2 to 3 days a week, I would do one meal. It would consist of a grilled chicken breast and an egg white omelet with some ham.
At least it wasn't steamed.
No, right. It was not steamed. So, and that would be the only meal I would eat 1 to 3 days a week. Now, this worked for 4 years. I would do it and I would check the scale and I would say, so a pure protein meal, 1 to 3 days a week, all protein, very little fat. I felt great for 4 years, right? And my weight consistently stayed between 148 to 153 pounds for 4 years. So it kept me at my goals. Honestly, the days that I PSMF'd, I felt amazing. until I didn't. So what caused me to stop doing this? Last summer, I felt so paralyzed. I think my hormones became out of whack. I don't want to blame PSMF, but I needed to change something up. Okay. And I think what was happening was I was going through menopause. I was having symptoms of hypothyroidism. And so I decided to do high fat carnivore. Okay. And I was doing keto with 1 to 3 days of PSMF, which essentially is a low fat carnivore, eating nothing but protein. And it worked for several years. So I'm not going to demonize it because it kept me at a low body fat percentage. It kept my weight low. And then on the other days, I would just eat like Ketovore is what I would call it. A little bit of veg, mostly meat-based, but whatever really I wanted. Until I started not feeling well. And I felt this paralyzation. I couldn't get out of bed. And I think that's the symptoms of menopause and hypothyroidism. So that's when I decided to go higher fat carnivore and eat whatever meat, not worry about the fat, eat the fat on the meat, and eggs every day. And so I have healed myself from the brain fog, from the paralyzation. I'm sleeping at night. I'm not tired all the time. Now I have put on 25 pounds. So in my opinion, there's a trade-off, right? So I think what I'm going to have to start doing is tracking my food and maybe tune the fat down just a little bit. And so that maybe I start losing a pound every couple weeks, right? So I haven't done that yet because my stress has been so high that I've been fighting fires, is what you say. I've been fighting personal fires in my life. But eventually here, I'm going to have to start tracking and I'm going to have to find a happy medium. So have I gained some weight once I quit PSMF? Yes. So PSMF is a tool, but in my personal experience, I did it for 4 years and did it keep the scale low? Yes, it did. But then there was something that happened to me that I had to address. So now I'm doing higher fat, but then the scale has gone up. So that's just something everybody has to do their own personal N=1. And does PSMF work? Yeah, it broke me through a 2-year stall. So for bodybuilders or people who are competing that need to drop weight very quickly for a competition, it's a tool that will get you there, and it works. I'm telling you, it worked for me. For 4 years, I stayed at 148 to 153 pounds on the scale. But then something happened that I needed to switch things up. And now if I went back to PSMF right now, do you think that my scale would probably budge? I would bet money on it. But
2 days, you drop like 5-6 pounds probably,
But would my menopause symptoms and the sleep and the thyroid condition come back? It's very possible. So right now I'm in the mindset, should I probably track and maybe tune that fat down maybe 3 to 5% based on whatever I'm eating right now? That might be a better way to look at it than jumping back into PSMF. But I loved PSMF while I was doing it. I loved it. And so if your only goal is weight loss, tuning the fat down and the protein up will get you there. It's one way of getting you there. It all depends on what your goals are. Right now, I'm feeling so amazing that the fact that I'm 20 pounds heavier and my jeans fit a little tighter, I'm okay with that right now because I'm functioning and my brain feels so good right now. I can't even explain that. So
I had similar benefits. I certainly agree. I mean, I've done about 30 of them since 2012. My first one was, I think, 5 cans of tuna a day and 1 fried egg for 4 or 5 months. I got mercury poisoning. It worked quite well, apart from that bit. That didn't work very well. I didn't like that much, Amy. Do not give me too much mercury. But it was effective. I found it got to a point where my gut motility slowed down so much that it just wasn't sustainable. I think my food choice back when I originally did it was poor. I think I should have chosen like a slightly fattier meat or something which is probably a bit richer in omega-3s. So I think if I switched to salmon, I would have had a slightly different outcome. In terms of what I do now, I typically, if I was to do that, let's say for some reason I have another seizure, end up in hospital for 2 weeks, and I'm back behind my schedule for competition. That means I've got 6 weeks rather than 8. I'll do a 2-week protein sparing modified fast. I'll probably do a week initially, see how I felt, see how much strength dropped off. I'd look at the scale, look at my weight, look at my photos. I'd expect to look flat, depleted, but once I refuel back up, I'd be a bit fuller. Some might actually look better, but it's always about the trade-off. I mean, I think people often go too low on the fat, and it's like, for the sake of it, 20 grams extra fat in your diet for omega-3. You know, if you have rather than having chicken thigh with, I don't know, 90% lean, 10% fat, have some salmon. Maybe, and say it was, I don't know, 85% protein and 15% fat. You're that much more nutrient density, and that would probably change your outcomes a bit. So I think when you do these things where it's very, I have a specific goal, this is going to be hard, this could be detrimental, that's when I go down my coaching mindset of fine tune. Okay, what are the smaller things which will make a bigger difference? So it's the food choice. Maybe it's not much food, maybe you're not satiated even in eating a high protein diet. Maybe there's something in that diet you're missing. Maybe you're doing too pure, maybe you're just doing chicken breast. Add in 2 boiled eggs that day. But don't cook with any butter or something like that. So adding a different element of nutrition to it. In regards to thyroid output, thyroid hormone output is tightly regulated, dependent on leptin signaling, which is mostly relative, not all, mostly relative to your body weight. It's a U curve. So low food intake, low thyroid output, higher, a bit better, higher, a bit better. But then there's a point where when you become over fat, you become less sensitive to the leptin signaling. So your adrenal levels start to go up to counteract that point. So that's the point where most people should, when they get chubby, they should end up being less chubby over time because their body should regulate. Not everyone though. Hence the GLP-1 drugs, hence why I could use 1 milligram of GLP-1 and someone else could use 15, would have the same appetite suppression because it does vary that much between people based on their health status, medication they're using, diet. So one way to get around the thyroid issue is to just increase the fish intake, ideally. So more omega-3, more sensitivity in your cells to conduct information, better neurotransmitters effectivity, better hormone production. That's just from omega-3. You've got the selenium, you've got more tyrosine, you've got more iodine, all contribute as resources to create more thyroid hormones. You can out-supplement these things in a way, so you can add these things in the supplements, but if you're doing a purist approach, something like the sardines is a good option. You know, you got the calcium, omega-3, B12, selenium, you know, all that other stuff. So when you're really refining things, your food choice does matter. You can't just say, I'm going to be as lean as possible. You get a much better outcome choosing a slightly fattier fish and eating beef rather than just eating pure boiled chicken breast. You will feel better as well, and you'll feel it will be more enjoyable. You'll probably sleep better at night, less symptoms as well. So that's my approach for a PSMF. I couldn't say numbers, guys, just because it varies, you know.
Yeah, and I eat salmon and shrimp on PSMF too. So those were my go-tos, like grilled shrimp, grilled salmon with no extra added fat to it. Those are my go-tos. Chicken breast, salmon, and shrimp were the 3 meals usually I ate a week. And then always egg whites. And I'm telling you, I got tired of egg whites. So I love the egg with the yolk now. So I'm kind of glad I'm not doing that right now. But I don't demonize PSMF. It just depends on what, if you have no health issues and your goal is only to lose weight and you've stalled, PSMF will do it. Now, again, here's another warning about this. When you quit PSMF, because I've done this twice. When you quit PSMF, guess what happens?
You gain about 5-10 pounds overnight. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, you gain it back. So that's why the next time I did it, I'm like, oh, I can't go off of this because I'll gain a weight back, right? So the next time I did it and I lost the 20 pounds again, and I guarantee you if I went on PSMF right now, I would lose that 20 pounds. But I'm not sure that I'm ready to give up my brain energy and the hormone regulation with the higher fat and everything like that. So I think there's going to be a happy medium for me, and I may just need to tune the fat down a little bit. And actually, I have tuned the fat down just a tad. So I'm holding steady. I'm not gaining any more weight.
Yeah.
I'm not losing any either. I'm about 174, 175. So I'm not at the 150, 148 to 153 anymore, but I'm not gaining anymore either. So there's a win right there, that I'm not gaining anymore. I'm not losing any, but I think once I start tracking and I can tune that fat down just a tad, or maybe do a couple OMAD meals every week would be another alternative, a couple OMAD meals. And that would really probably regulate my weight a little more. And also I'm starting to work out, so I may increase muscle, and that will put the scale up too.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, just be mindful that obviously being female, not using any performance enhancing drugs or anything, that your scale weight, it may go up a bit from gaining muscle, but say your scale weight is even in every month, but you're like, oh, I'm gaining muscle, but say you're dropping 2 pounds of fat, you're not gaining 2 pounds of muscle in a month. So it might, I mean, you over say a month span, you might gain 100 or 200 grams of muscle, so half a pound, something like that. So your weight should still theoretically drop. It might not be as much as someone that isn't training, but you should notice like things fit better, things are more tighter in the right places, sort of thing. So yeah, if you're my coach, if I was your coach, Jamie, and I said to you, this is what you should do, I'd do 5 days PSMF-ish, not as drastic, but just lower, and 2 days you're choosing with family, friends, when you know Friday and Saturday I meet up with the girls or have a meal with my husband or something like that. I say 2 meals a day, for 2 days, have just more food. And when I say more, I mean like 20% more. So at least then during the week you're getting that insulin sensitive state. But then when you like feeling that sort of feeling when you're not eating too much food, it keeps your cravings at bay. And that last few days when you start to feel a bit flat, insulin goes a bit too low, adding these foods bumps up your food intake, you sleep better, you recover better, and you go on to the next week. But that's what I would do for you based on what you said, because obviously you can't do both. But what if you could do both to some degree, just not as drastically, you know?
And I'm not ruling out PSMF again, right? I'm not ruling out doing that. I just I needed to make a change for a little bit because of the health issues I was dealing with, and I do feel so much better. And so I get a little bit triggered when we go into some of these live streams and they're like, more fat, more fat, more fat, more fat, like more, you know, and I'm like, for some of us, more fat means more scale, right? I think there's a balance.
You can't gain fat. Like, yeah, I've tested this out so many times. I can't eat loads of fat in a few days and not gain body fat. I will gain body fat. And I've measured it with skin fold calipers, measured the scale, everything exactly, like the same packet, the same weight, everything, just increase the butter or whatever. Rubbish. You can gain fat in a low insulin state. I don't care what people say. I don't get what the science says either, which I'd like to think that science is always true, but I've had this with clients where I've increased their fat. Say they're feeling a bit sluggish, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna have Christmas. So rather than like pig out on Christmas Day, let's just increase your food for the whole week 20%. At least it keeps you carnivore-ish. It means you've got a bit of motivation to stick to it, you know. Yeah, they'll gain body fat that week. They will, and it'll be about amount that's representative of eating the extra 20% of fat per day. So yeah, it's, you know, it is. But the thing is, as soon as you put carbohydrates in the equation, I think the potential to gain fat is about 20% more in my experience. When I say that, I mean over 50 to 100 grams a day. So I could eat, let's talk about calories. I could eat the same amount of calories per day, but just lower the fat by enough to equate the calories that would be from 100 grams of carbs. I would have to eat about 20% less to maintain my weight. So there is a hormonal element to it, certainly. But, you know, if we're carnivores or keto carnivores, we're not really eating 100 grams of carbs a day. I'm below 30 most days anyway, so.
I think I get about around 10, but there's carbs in eggs,
coffee.
So my carbs are in the coffee. I'm a coffeeholic, and I don't know if you've ever heard, but I've reduced my coffee from 2 pots a day to 1 pot. So can you imagine how many carbs I was getting from coffee? I drink a whole pot of coffee every day. There's probably 5 or 6 carbs just in that. Even though coffee is supposed to be 0 carb, it's not. There are carbs in coffee. There are even black, and I only drink black coffee. There's carbs in black coffee.
Yeah, I'm not a habitual coffee drinker. I try to avoid stimulants just because I think for whatever mild pain benefit or energy benefit I get from it, I get a disproportionate negative response. So I only really have anything caffeinated if it's like I have to do something. I'm very tired and in pain. I've got to do a consult, to earn money, whatever. Yeah, I mean, typically it might be that I have a coffee every day for a week. I won't have any coffee for like 2 months. I've got no inkling to have it, but if I start having it and I make it a routine, it'll become a routine, more of a habit rather than an addiction. So I can just drop it. I'm not averse to people having coffee. I don't think it's a massive problem. I think some people say, "Oh, it's the silver bullet," and I'm like, I don't really see it either way. I think some people it's helpful, some people it's not. So
I think I would do better without coffee, but it is an addiction for me, and I'm not afraid to admit that. And I have reduced it. I have reduced it from 2 pots down. Now, yesterday I drank a lot, but I didn't eat all day. And so, and I didn't have access to food. So in the waiting room at the hospital, I'm sure I had more than my normal pot, but it's okay. It is what it is. Oh, are they talking about your girlfriend?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah.
Is it the Joe? Is it a Joe that I know?
She's been on my channel before. I've been on hers. She's been on George's.
Has a channel. What's her channel?
Joe's Sleep and Slim Down Journey.
Yes, I know Joe. I love Joe.
She's fun.
Beautiful. She's beautiful.
Yeah,
yes.
She's cool.
Do you guys live near each other? Do you get to see each other often?
No. So unfortunately, she lives in Nottingham. So that's about literally 200 miles away. So I don't know, maybe 300 kilometers away. I don't know, something like that. About a 4-hour car journey.
Wow.
So
yeah,
it suits me all right. I mean, I can't. It's not like I can leave the house every day and do what I want. So it's when we see each other, it's more of a novelty. It's fun. We put some money aside to go out for a meal or go to cinema. So it's nice, really. I look forward to it. I sort of anticipate seeing her sort of thing. The downside is obviously the distance, but I mean, if she lived down the road, I think I'd get worn out. She's got so much energy, and I can't keep up with her, sort of thing. She's got disabilities like mobility problems, things like that. She can't walk for long, but we've all got our own sort of unique things. I can walk for a period of time, but what stops me is pain. With her, it stops her as our heart health. So we just try and manage things, but it's actually quite helpful because she knows where I'm coming from. I know where she's coming from when she can't do something. It's like, yeah, I can relate to that. I know how you feel. I won't bother you about it. So yeah, definitely a perk of being alive. Certainly.
Yes, it sure is. Wow. It seems like we've been on for 5 minutes, but it's been 2 hours, Jonathan. Can you believe that already?
Yeah, I've done pretty well, I think. I took a cocodamol beforehand, so I'm not too bad. We'll cover I think we've got 3 things to chuck up on the screen. We'll answer them, then we'll finish it up if you would like.
That sounds great. That sounds good.
Okay, so got a question from Kieran. I'm sorry for the delay. What's the best way to avoid ketosis when on carnivore? I feel terrible in that state. Lots of honey. First-hand experience, usually it's too low calcium, i.e. potentially too low dairy, maybe. It's not an essential, might be intolerant to it, but that will increase insulin levels in the body. I have the same experience when I go 0 dairy, as in 0 carb, no butter. I seem to have the genetics which mean I've got a high requirement for calcium than most people, so I excrete a lot of it. So ancestrally, my heritage, my forefathers, we had a lot of it in their diet, therefore they had mechanisms that meant that they needed a high requirement. That's represented in my DNA ancestry tests that I've done. So yeah, other than that, it's more related to insulin rather than ketosis. It's not that high ketone levels are causing you to have a terrible state. It's the low insulin, because you need insulin to turn things on in your body, create hormones effectively. So it's a bit of a misnomer in that sense, but that's been my experience, and I feel better at ketone level for what it's worth. I don't really like testing stuff like that. I think it's mostly useless, but I test it like 0.5 to 1. I know people that feel better at 5. I feel like death at 5. So That's been my experience. But what would you say to someone that's trying to avoid ketosis?
Well,
Other than
first of all, I need to know if Kieran is new and just starting out, or if they've been on this a while. And the reason is when I first went ketogenic, I felt like I was going to murder somebody. And it's because I felt so terrible. And that only lasted a couple weeks, right? So just, if you're new and you just came off a standard diet, you're going to not feel good for a few weeks. I did not know about electrolytes. And some people say electrolytes are a joke, and some people say electrolytes work. I have to take electrolytes every day still, even 9 years in, because if I don't, I get terrible leg cramps. So it's either a magnesium deficiency, a sodium deficiency, and I don't know about potassium, but I do take all three. So I do drink 1 serving of electrolytes every day, and that seems to keep, like I said, what they call the keto flu. My keto flu was so bad in the beginning, I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay on it. So I don't know if you're new, Kieran, but what I would recommend doing for some people, electrolytes, in my opinion, and I'm one of them, are a real thing. So maybe you need to increase your salt, magnesium, or potassium. And again, this is not medical advice. This is just something that I have had to do myself to feel better. That could be it. I don't know what your thoughts are, Jonathan, but it could be you're losing too much water in the beginning from inflammation and you're not feeling well. That was my case.
Yeah, it could be too many things. I mean, the thing is, I think the transitional point you made at the start is probably the key there. If you just start a carnivore diet, keto diet, you drop your carbs to 50 grams a day or lower or something, you will drop a certain amount of body weight, but your blood volume won't necessarily match that body weight. So that might dilute certain things, which means you're excreting more to get rid of it. Maybe excreting more is causing you to lose sleep, so you feel a bit sluggish. Maybe there's not salt in your diet, so you're not retaining any of the nutrition that you're taking in. Maybe there's loads of things. There's like a million things. If they got a bit more information, we'll be able to answer better. But yeah, I would add in dairy if you can. Add in a scoop of electrolyte powder if you can. That's the key, really. People in general, as human beings, we don't actually need as many electrolytes as they say on these labels, like the food guidelines, or sort of thing. But not even just to the state that even carnivores would suggest eating. It's just we live in lives nowadays where I've got a flavored Pepsi Max here. If that was just water, I probably wouldn't drink as much of it. So I'm adding more salt to my food because I'm flushing more through natural diuresis. Do you see what I mean? So as soon as you add in these extra things, it can equate to quite a big change in your electrolyte balance over time. So that's that one, I think. I've got a question from Manny 4186. Apologies if I'm missing any questions, guys. I can't actually see the screen. I've got bright light and the text is as big as I can get it, but it's just blurry. So yeah, but if you do put a Q in the question in the chat, I can actually see it a lot easier. So
do you want me to read it? Yeah, okay.
I can read just now. Yeah. So why do you low key look like Mike Riztel, the other YouTuber? What do you think?
I don't know who that is. So I can't answer that one.
It's more of like a troll comment, but it's more just, I'm not going to say ignorance, but it's more just like saying you're bold, therefore you look like someone else that is bold.
Why does Mike Israel look like Jonathan? I would ask. Why does Mike Israel look more like Jonathan? It could be reversed.
It could be reversed. He's older than me. He's about 40 odd. But the only similarity is we're both muscular and we're both bold. Other than that, we've got a different head shape to him. He's got, this sounds a bit nasty, but it's just, he's got a thicker nose than me. His eyes are more round rather than more liney. He's got more of a Eastern European look than I do. He's also a lot more wrinkly than I am. He's got dark hair. I've got blonde hair. Yeah, I don't know. We're both bold. I mean, you've got hair. You look a bit like Juliet.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
I just came with the first name that came into my head there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Have we done all the questions now?
Are we?
I think so. I don't know.
Someone asked, okay, Kathy has another one. What's ketosis?
Oh, ketosis. It's a biochemical state of the body which can be measured by a blood, urine, or breath ketone meter monitor. It's basically saying that your body is breaking down certain things and creating beta hydroxybutyrate for your brain to use as an energy substrate, and it's cleaner energy in terms of ATP production and oxidation production than other forms of energy. It's the body's default biochemical kind of state. So if someone was just left on their own in the wild, that's what the body would eventually do if they run out of food. Some people feel better with more of it in the system, but some people feel better with slightly less. Some of it, I think, has some interplay with things like dopamine. So if they need a lot of sugar, a lot of small wins in life to feel good, that might impact where they might feel best in terms of ketogenic diet. Some people associate it with lower rates of diabetes, type 2. Generally associated with lower blood glucose levels. And some people use it as a therapeutic diet for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Agreed. You hit everything. I think you hit everything.
I think let us know in the chat if I've missed something, because there's probably more to it. But what do you think about ketones? Have you checked yours, counted yours?
Okay.
What do you find? Do you notice anything interesting? Or?
So first of all, for the first 8 years, I never peed on a stick. I never pricked my finger. I never checked my ketones, because my ideology was always, you don't have to spend money on stuff to do this, right? So I was proving to people that I never checked my level of ketosis. I just changed my way of eating and my way of living, and I was successful. Now that I'm a coach, I need to understand a little bit more about what certain foods do to my blood glucose and to ketones and stuff like that. So Juliet gave me one of her keto monitors. Thank you, Juliet. Such a sweet, giving person. And I have started testing my ketone levels, and I think when I fast is when they go the highest, right? There's a lot of times I'm not in ketosis. Now I'm healing from a lot of things right now, even on Carnivore. Very rarely, and I use a Keto Mojo, so it compares your blood glucose compared to your ketone level, and it gives you this range and a calculation, and then it says you're in a high level of ketosis or you're in a low level. When I get into highest level of ketosis, like above 1 or 2, is when I'm fasting, I will say, and multi-day fasting. Like a 48-hour fast puts me above 2 points or 3 points ketones. Otherwise, a lot of times when I'm just eating meat and eggs, it says I'm either not in ketosis or I'm in a low level of therapeutic ketosis if I eat every day carnivore. However, I don't measure my success based on this thing that tells me these numbers, right? I measure my success by how I'm feeling, my blood results that I get done, reversing some of the pain, my pain level, and inflammation in my body. And I have a real measurement of that, whether or not I'm having pain. That's how I measure my success. So if you are a numbers person, a math person, you are a track it person, and you want to get a keto monitor and measure your ketones. But for 8 years, I lost 110 pounds and I reversed so many conditions, and I never tested a ketone. It's more a fun thing to do, right? For me to see, okay, if I eat this food and then I wait 30 or 40 minutes after I eat this food and measure, it will tell me what the difference is, like what it was before, what it was after. It's more of a measurement tool for me, and also a teaching tool for my clients, right? So if I'm working with a diabetic and they're like, well, how does this affect me? Take your glucose before you eat the thing, then eat the thing, then wait, 45 minutes to an hour later, then test your glucose again. And this is going to tell you, should I be eating the thing? Okay. It's more of a tool. I have gone so many years with saying I've never peed on a stick or pricked my finger. Well, now I've done that, so I can't say that anymore, but it's more of a teaching tool for me. And everyone's different. My glucose never goes above 100, which is good. I range between 50 and 100 on my glucose. My A1C I just had tested is 5.0. My CRP was, I think, 3.8, which is really good. So do I think my inflammation markers are really good right now, even though my scale is 20 pounds higher? Yes. So you got to look at the whole picture of things, right? So do I think ketones are important? Are they? Are they? I don't know. You tell me. In my opinion, I think you can do this without testing your ketones. I think there's other things that are metabolic markers that we need to be paying attention to more just than your daily key. Do I think being in a high state of ketosis will be therapeutic? Absolutely. But do we need to always measure it? No, I don't think so. That's my opinion. Jonathan might have a different opinion.
I've got such a mixed standpoint. It might not end anywhere. It's probably a big tangent. I think you alluded to a good point. What could be measured can be managed. So if you can show cause and effect, this on a number does this on a scale, and that relates to me feeling this way repeatedly at different scenarios at different points in time, then yeah, it probably is a useful metric. Problem with the different tools we have is, I mean, the urine strips, cheaper. The blood testing strips a bit more expensive than, I believe, the breath meter. I think it's quite an expensive thing as well. With these things, you have to buy extra parts for them, quite costly. A blood reading, a urine reading, and a breath reading will all have a different result, which means who knows what the hell's going on. And that's if you test it exactly the same time as well. So it makes you think, which number am I looking at? Which is the most accurate? And you'd think blood, because it's your blood, it's in your system. Well, what are the pitfalls of that? Well, it measures a higher amount if you're hot. If you're hot and you've got a CGM or a keto meter on your arm, more blood's going to be accelerated to the outside of your body as heat expands. You're going to have a different volume of blood in that area, which means you're going to have a different reading of ketones in that area. The breath, well, that's the amount you exhale. That's the amount you've utilized. So it's not ones that your body's got sparingly in the body to actually do anything with. They've gone. They left your body. So what else are we looking at? The urine one. I've seen very mixed reviews on those. They show you a chromatographic chart, so a pink, orange, green, blue, black, purple chart thing. So the darker the color basically means the more we're putting out. Again, that's excreted waste of ketones. Anecdotally, myself, I found I could do a carnivore diet 3 weeks straight, low level of ketosis, have a meal out on a Sunday night with my family, roast dinner, like I described earlier, standard sort of simple meal. The next day, I'll be back on carnivore. By lunchtime, my ketones will be really high, like as in for me, 3, 4, 5. So that's the day after a high carb meal. What's happened there? There's a lag period. So there's a lag period of what's being measured in the blood. So it means what's happened is my body's adapted to using carbs. The carbs that I've eaten on the Sunday night have depleted my body, the extra glycogen. Blood glucose has gone down, glucagon's gone up. Insulin has secreted itself as it should to put the stuff in the body where it needs to be. Then what's happened is my ketone levels have gone up because let's produce ketones now. Bring them up. Now I'm utilizing those ketones Tuesday, Wednesday, down. But I'm more adherent with the diet as the week goes on because I'm not eating any carbs. So that tells me there's obviously different ways you can look at it. So if you're using these things as a transitional element, say you're on track, you're doing something, probably quite useful. It's helpful, motivating to see something change on a chart or a number, saying you're doing something right, you're eating less carbs. Over time, they're using it as a long-term estimation or projection of trend and health outcomes. Probably a poor idea just because, like I said, how would you know how much you're using versus how much is being excreted through your body? If you're excreting it loads but you're not using them, you've got brain fog. Your body's producing the energy, but it's not supplying the mitochondria for the electric transport chain to deal with the food energy to turn it into ATP, which means you don't really it doesn't really matter what these ketones are doing in your body in terms of numbers. Your body's just going to sort itself out.
Right.
For that reason alone, I'm more keen on blood glucose monitoring.
Me too.
Like you said, HbA1c was at 4.5. Good reading. You look at your trend. You look at the area under the curve. Glucose, food. Brilliant. Insulin goes down. Insulin goes up. glucose quickly give it down, short period, within a certain range, you're receptive to the food you're taking in, which means it's being stored effectively, safely. You're not having continuous loads of glucose causing glycation throughout every cell in your body. So yeah, you're not doing wrong by not tracking it, as you said. Like you said, you lost so much weight not doing it. So I've had clients before saying, I can't afford to pay your monthly rate because I've bought a keto meter. And I say, I've got a free video here which explains to you why you should not buy one, why you should buy me.
Yeah. You don't need to test your ketones, in my opinion, to be successful. It's just a tool like anything else, but tools can mislead you too. Another thing that I was just working with a client on was a dawn effect. And this person is a diabetic, and they mentioned to me, why is my blood glucose always higher in the morning? And then this person started testing it a little bit later in the morning before they had their first meal, and the glucose went down, like their blood. And I'm like, yeah, don't test your blood glucose first thing in the morning, because for some people, because of cortisol, your cortisol is trying to wake you up and get you out of bed, and so it spikes, and so does your glucose, even though you haven't had a meal in 12, 15 hours or whatever, 18 hours. So I had to explain that too, that these tools, are going to skew things for us.
Sometimes.
They could be, the body is a very mysterious thing, and it does things like spike your glucose first thing in the morning before you've even had any food. So there's some other things going on, but I think you're right. The blood tests, the A1C, the fasting insulin, the CRP, there's so many other ways to find out the bigger picture over time. Now, it's not going to be immediate. You have to go get a blood test done to do these, and you're not going to do that every month. Maybe once or twice a year you can do that. But a lot of people that we've seen in this community who have been honest, these numbers get better over time, and that's going to be your long-term indicator of how well you're doing, right? In my opinion. And I put 20 pounds on, and my A1C the last time I got it tested was 5.1, and that's when I was thinner. My A1C now, 20 pounds heavier, is better than it was 2 years ago when I got it tested, right? But I gained weight. So what is a better indicator? The fact that the scale or my blood work, right? Now my cholesterol's higher, but that's another conversation. And
I completely ignore all lipid values in every sense, in every one of them.
Me too.
And people say that. Then I heard this before. I've chatted with people online. They're like, I don't believe in cholesterol and all this stuff, all these myths. I've read the book. I'm like, all right, okay. And you'll see them on Instagram, and I post something, and they're like, yeah, my triglyceride or this ratio is a bit bad. I'm like, what is your viewpoint? Because you're telling people one thing and telling me the other.
Well, first of all,
don't mean anything.
This is not medical advice, but when I was feeling like junk, my LDL was in what they consider a good range. My HDL was very low. My triglycerides were okay, but they were higher than they are now. Now that I'm eating high-fat carnivore, my LDL is through the roof. I think it's like 201. My HDL was 98. My HDL, and this was before I started taking berberine, my HDL was 98. My triglycerides are like 45. And they want your triglycerides to be under 150. My triglycerides are like 45. They are so low. HDL through the roof in the 90s. And my LDL is 201, which is high for what a medical professional wants it to be. But guess what is also high? My brain fog has gone away. My brain function is high. My sleep is excellent. My energy is excellent. So my personal opinion is, and honestly, I ran my profile through a model, and it says you are a lean mass hyperrespondent. I'm like, this fat girl that's always been fat is a lean mass hyperresponder. So I actually fit the LMHR profile now, even though I'm not as thin as I would like to be. So I did get a CAC scan done a week ago just to appease my doctor. And I'll be honest with you, even if that doesn't come back zero, it's because of the way I've been overweight for years. I treated my body like trash for years. There could be some damage that is done, right? But do I blame carnivore for that damage? No, I blame being 300 pounds heavy for 10 years, eating junk, eating processed foods, eating seed oils. There could be some oxidative stress that has happened within my body for a long period of time that caused that CAC score not to be 0. But I can't tell you what that is yet because I don't have the results. But that will be an interesting topic too.
I'm fascinated to find out when I get the MRI, what that will say of my heart. Yeah, be interesting. It'd be quite bizarre if they said, "Oh, you've got a blockage." I'm like, I mean, I'm 30 years old, but could I have done that in the 5 years where I was eating crap, like throughout uni? Maybe.
It's possible.
I mean, I was eating a lot of food. I mean, I'm talking like, in terms of macros, like back then, 300 protein, 1,000 carbs, 150, 200 grams of fat. Like like a recipe for like Randall psychoactivation and diabetes. I was muscular, so I didn't get diabetes, obviously, but I can see where it's trending. Like, there's still a certain amount of oxidative stress in your body. Your body will usually try to slow it down by producing less energy, so you get more tired. So your body's not running on these like high appetite signaling state where you sort of do exercise all the time. So it'll try and slow you down. By doing that, you slow your mitochondria down. By doing that, you slow down your rate of recovery down, which means you can't do anything. So you want your mitochondria to be firing high, but not so high that you create more oxidative damage through too much spin. So mitochondria overspin. So that's why it might be in your situation, Amy, when you're doing all this exercise back years ago, 2 hours of cardio and all this stuff. You might have been stressing out your mitochondria, too much oxidative stress. So although you're getting fitter, your mitochondria are actually working worse.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I will never do 3 hours of cardio a day again. Never. I mean, walking, I can't run because of my hips. So I'll never, my sister's a runner, but I am not a runner. But lifting, building muscle, things to strength training. I love strength training. I think it's important. Building muscle, stretching, things to make myself stronger. That is my goal, to become stronger, right? Become stronger and just do enough so that I'm not out of breath when going up and down the stairs or walking 3 miles, stuff like that. Yay, Juliet. That's awesome. Okay, it's been 2.5 hours. I am ready for a meal, Jonathan. I don't know about you, but
same. I've got 2 meals to get in, and I go to bed at. Well, I've got an hour and a half to get 2 meals in.
Okay, so I think
I'll wrap this up. Yeah.
Let's do it again, though. I loved having this, so let's do it again. This was fantastic. I love the conversation.
Yeah, more than happy to. I mean, usually I fall asleep, not because people are boring, just because I'm not stimulated. But I find this quite fascinating because you've got a different starting point to me completely. So it's interesting hearing someone else's ideas because I've not got all the answers, definitely. But yeah, thank you very much, Juliet, for the super chat. Much appreciated. I'm going to spend that on 3 double McDonald's cheeseburgers, no bun, no sauce, no rabbit food in November.
Awesome.
That's when my competitions end, basically. So, no treat meals for a while. Other than that, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Apologies if I didn't get to everyone's questions. I need to find a way to make the screen bigger because they appear literally like so fine. I might make Amy a channel admin as well or something, so you can actually see it then. But yeah, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here, and I'm Rick as well. Sorry if we hijacked your live earlier, Rick.
Yeah, sorry.
It's the only time we could do, basically. So it's but yeah. All right, nice one. Awesome. All right, thanks so much, everyone. We're gonna end the stream now, and we'll catch you guys soon. Cheers.
Build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet.